Hey, how's it going out there? It is Wednesday, Warriors. We are about to get started. Stick by and let's.
Giving a voice to the voiceless. We share the stories behind our freedoms and the ultimate sacrifice of those who protect us all. This is Patriots Inside The Wire.
Beautiful thing to see the family and friends come together and honor his life and his service to our country.
It's great to see you guys out here. This is awesome, really.
Welcome to the Patriots Inside The Wire broadcast, hosted by Gold Star Mom Tracy Two-Step.
Hey, how is it going out there on a Wednesday, Warrior Wednesdays? Jim McCollum is right here. We're with Patriots Inside The Wire. Tracy Two-Step. That Two-Step is for Sergeant Two-Step, my son. As you can see behind me tonight, Wednesday. Jim, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
All right.
Well, we are excited to be here, and this is going to be a good show.
It really is. I am excited too. I finally caught up with Wonder Woman today. I'm not kidding. I thought I jumped around all over, and I'm like, holy heck, she's amazing. Like everything she's doing, so much going on, and took that time. And I got to actually spend some one-on-one personal time. So you don't know how hard that is to do with this lady because she is so busy taking care of Patriots, our people, our Blue Star, Gold Star, and for everyone out there, that is our military, our veterans, our active. It is those like Jim and I here on the screen. We no longer, unfortunately. And so Jim, Patriots, our firefighters, our first responders, our police officers, and people. I like to point that out again. I'm excited, but you're doing good tonight?
I am doing well.
Well, all right. I've still got your title there, and everybody that's watching live, Jim is still announcing we met with President Trump in Pennsylvania.
I have so many more stories. So there's another show in a month or two that we've got to get into. No more jingles. I can't do any more dancing or shaking with the shirt. But what an experience! What an absolutely honorable moment.
I enjoyed it. I learned something literally. I was like, wow, I have been missing out on what's really going on that side. So I think it's great. Jim, you bring like a breath of fresh air and a new atmosphere that makes it comfortable even for me. So having you here means the world, number one. I hate that we're talking because of the reason, but I'm glad that I found you. You found me. We all meet at certain times in our lives. And, it's one of those things in the world right now. Like when we meet someone and something's going on, and you know what? I got to go by my faith. I don't tell others what to do because I got a kid that served in the military and rights, everything that we have in this country. That's what he fought for. So Absolutely. I'd like to go ahead, Jim. What do you think? I'd like to get rolling on who our guest is tonight.
Yes, please.
Yeah, he said, please. I do not do the drum roll, but Superwoman. This is Wonder Woman, Mrs. Heather. How are you?
Very well. How are you guys? How are you guys all doing? I'm so excited, and I want to first off thank you guys for asking me to come on. I'm so excited about this, and and I with full heart send my condolences to the two of you. It's what I do to keep the memories alive and to say their names and to speak their names is truly an honor. So I just hope that, like I said to you earlier today, Tracy, through not just our words we throw up on social media, but through our actions, that you guys know how grateful I am to you guys for raising such amazing young men, but also to those young men who willingly stepped up to serve and sacrifice for those behind them. And there's just no greater love. So I thank both of you for having me on here, and I'm truly honored to be on with the two of you.
And if I can look after that, likewise, I am so appreciative of you and what you've done. And I met you through social media 3 years ago, because of what you do. And I was arguing with Royce, my daughter, today, who you reached out to first or how we found you. And Royce has taken all the credit. It's like, no, it was me. It was me, Dad. But no, we appreciate you. Absolutely love what you do. And there are two people on the planet that make me feel really bad about myself on a daily basis. And that's you and Tyler Andrew Vargas. No matter what I'm going through, it's like, you know what, man up, you can do better. So I appreciate you more than you know. And you've influenced me and inspired me. There are days that kind of suck. Look at your schedule. I look what you do, and I look at the things you do and who you do them for. I'm like, all right, I can do a little bit better than I did yesterday for sure. So I absolutely love that about you and appreciate you're making me better, whether you know it or not. So
yeah, I thank you guys for that. It's been quite a journey, and I was telling Tracy today, I'm God-fearing, Jesus-loving, proud American patriot. It goes in that order, exactly like that. And it was my journey started with a prayer to God in 2013. And little did I know, Jim and Tracy, it would bring me to this point. And there's a lot of wave emotions, the knockdowns, the beatdowns, but it's like, Lord, just pick me back up, because there's a bigger fight out there, right? So like that fight is far greater than yourself. It's giving hope to the hopeless, but also shining light in those lives of those like yourselves that are grieving and saying, I know I can't bring, and I, as a mother of a son, I get that love. My son and I are like inseparable, right? I don't understand the grief, but I understand the love for a child. So if I can, through my actions, inspire others, like you said, to be better than they were yesterday, and to stop feeling bad for yourself and stop saying, no, I can't, instead say, yes, I can, for those who are no longer here to do so. Right. So you feel the ground every day you wake up, which becomes a blessing. And you have to take that and you have to run with it and inspire others. And get them out of that darkness. So it's truly been just an amazing, amazing journey. And I'm still sometimes like, had I not listened to God on that moment when I prayed to him and the Holy Spirit put it in me, Jim and Tracy, I wouldn't know you guys. I wouldn't, all these like little, right? The little seed, like the mustard seed that you plant that the Lord talks about in the Bible, that mustard seed, I was just a vessel, and I listen. But I sit back and I look and I'm like, wow, if I didn't listen, like these people wouldn't be friends. So it's like that ripple effect, right? You throw a stone and you watch it ripple. And it's just, I give all the glory to God. Like in all honesty, I just prayed and I ran with it. But had I not done that, we wouldn't be here today together.
I absolutely love that. Yeah.
I do too. Jim, I had the pleasure of being able to talk to Heather quite a while. So I was looking at you and going, I bet you have questions. And I know that everyone else out there watching is going to have the exact same questions. I've gathered a lot up. Do you want to lead? Do you have a question that you would like for Heather?
Well, absolutely. I would like to expand a little bit more on what she just said. Through this journey over the last 3 years, I do a lot of things, and I write and I give speeches and I do things like that. But I never feel like I'm doing enough. Am I honoring Rylee enough? Am I honoring the 13 enough? Am I honoring the 20-year war enough? The people that we did lose. And there are days that it's like, okay, that was a good day. But more times than not, it's like I've got to do better. And I find it's hard to find the strength to go forward and feel like you've done something monumental anywhere. But in watching you in the things that you do. And I follow, I'm like a Facebook stalker. I just follow what you're doing. And I'm cheering you on from the background. It's like, hell yeah. But that also inspires me to, it's like, there's more that I can do. When I wake up tomorrow, my feet hit the ground, I'm running, I'm doing something. And even if I don't feel like doing it, damn it, I'm going to do it, because look at what she's doing, for crying out loud. I've got to put myself in a better position and do more. And I'm not going to lie, my faith was busted for a good 6 months. I hated the world. I hated life. I hated myself. I can't say I hated God, but damn it, I questioned it, like, why? You know, what the hell? What did I do to deserve this pain? And it's taken me a while to realize things do happen for a reason. And I hate that I lost my son, but there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger message. And I am that little mustard seed. I'm just a vessel to share the message that I can give. And then when I do share that message and it's from the heart, what I receive is 10,000 times more than I could ever imagine. Whether it's somebody saying, "Holy, you just changed my life," or "You took me out of that dark place." And I don't do anything nearly as profound as you do. I just talk and I write. But it's so comforting to know that in this grand scheme of things, and in this big, vast world, I do have a voice, and I do mean something to somebody. And when I hear the stories that I'm making a change in somebody else's life, or they resonate with the message that I just shared, that's a beautiful thing. And that keeps pushing me forward. And then as I keep pushing forward, I look at you and it's like, okay, that was good, but I still got to do a little bit better. So with myself included, you know, it's not just everybody else, but it's with myself included. So you are definitely inspirational and very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Well, that was a lot, Jim. You really got me. Like, here, I will admit that I had the same reaction. I will say out loud, I'm a truth teller. I was extremely angry at God. I wanted to not believe, but I couldn't not believe. That's what got me through my whole life. This is my boy, two-step. I know he's watching over. I know he's with us right now. I've got goosebumps, but I won't lie. I'm a truth teller. I literally was like, I am angry. I am so mad at you. Like, why the hell did you have to take my son? Like, you understand everything that's been going on here. It's like, it's a lot. But Jim, I'll tell you this. It's not that it gets better, but it's different. So yep. I had a come to Jesus moment, literally. And it's funny. I say to my younger kid still here, a sibling. I'm really big on the siblings. Heather knows that. For Cash, I'm like, cheese and rice. That's what I say. And he just is like, Mom, did you just say that?
That's awesome.
And I said,
we do too.
I said, cheese and rice, kid. That's what I said. So there's my cheesy joke for the night. But really, you know, the siblings, you mentioned Royce. Royce is a sibling of Riley. For those of you out there listening right now, it's Jim McCollum, Lance Corporal Riley. I'm going to say it for you because you're I can see it. Remember Rylee McCollum serving one of the Afghanistan 13. That is where you're going to recognize that name. I do believe if you're not, look at the word patriot and understand that we're people. We still want to be included. We still want to find, where's that puzzle piece? Where do we get back into a unit? Where do we go? And that's how we came upon each other. And that's happened to me so many times, except, again, I'm a truth teller. I only went, Jim, you're doing great. I only went somewhere this last couple years. And I've only been to a couple of things because I know the people so well. So, Jim, you're already like, boom, I'll go. Now, if it's for legislation and I need to run down and fight something that's kind of what I taught my son, it's like, I'll run and do that. But to go somewhere and be seen was, I didn't know. I just didn't know where or how or if I can or can't and where is something. So I think that's what you're talking about, Jim, right? It's like,
Yes.
where do we go?
And that is a question I have for Heather.
Yeah. So Heather's the perfect guest.
I do it when it's necessary, and I can fake my way through anything. And when I go and I do those things, damn it, I feel so much better about where I was, and I'm doing it for the right reasons. And this was good. It is so much easier to curl up in the fetal position and just not. But I want to know more about Heather's story and why you do what you do, how you do what you do, where you draw your strength from. Because seriously, and this is no BS, I draw so much strength through you just following your posts on Facebook that you'll get me out of my deepest funk. And they come. I'm not going to lie. I'm only 3 years into this. And man, those ebbs and flows, and sometimes you get in that funk. And it's a bitch, for a lack of a better term, to get out of that. It's not, oh, woe is me. You're freaking heartbroken. You're just defeated. But I see so much positivity in you, and so much. It's not joy, but it's passion. It's praise. It's you bring God into everything that you do, and that helps me on levels that you will never understand. So my question to you is, where do you draw that strength, and where does that come from? Because you are helping more people than I ever will through the things I say and the things that I do. And I find that very admirable.
Oh, thank you. So, like I said, I mean, I'm every time I go to speak at something, or someone wants to, it's like, my name is Heather Viveiros. I'm God-fearing, Jesus-loving, proud American patriot. Period. End of story. Like, I started with a prayer in 2013 when the Boston bombing happened. My son was 5 years old. We had to cancel his birthday party because where they actually found one of the guys in the boat, his birthday was like going to be a few miles from that. So they're like, nope, can't do it. It was at the YMCA.
Wow.
Stay-at-home mom. I've been very blessed. God's blessed me. I've had that opportunity to raise my son. And I was like, man, God, I was like, you have me do this stuff with kids with cancer, right? Because kids are our next generation, love kids, wicked passionate about that. And my husband and I were doing different stuff and with kids with cancer. And then I'm like, God, May of 2013, I was praying. I'm like, Lord, I got to give people hope they can see. And I tell people, I don't care if you call me crazy, you call me what you will. I swear to you, in my right ear, I heard this whisper, run for our troops. I said, okay, Lord, what about kids with cancer? I heard that too, but our troops need our help. And with that, I'm thinking, because I'm physically fit. At this point, I'm fitter back then than I am now. I've been in a couple boots past 2 years. So I was like, all right, Lord, I'm going to run. So I'm thinking run, right? Okay, I'm going to run. Next thing you know, though, what was really amazing. So like July 3rd of 2013, I was gonna I signed my son up to do this Gillette Stadium run. It was like some cute run, raise money for the Boston Strong people. And I'm like, okay. And I'll never forget what's really crazy. This is how it gets really bizarre and how I connect God into everything. Like, I just love like the way God works, even in trials and tribulations and stuff. Cause I always tell people always ask me my faith, even people that are like, Heather, I want to believe in something, and I'm like, listen, the person that does the bad, we got to yell at the devil and say, not today, Satan, because you come to steal, kill, and destroy. You're the one that's trying to destroy my faith through trials and tribulations, right? So we all have to bear our cross. The word says that, right? So I'm like contemplating, do I want to do this race at Gillette Stadium? It's July 3rd, 2013. It's hot as can be. And I'm going, I don't know. I got to go up and down those ramps. I haven't really been training to run. My mother, now follow this. My mother's birthday is July 23rd. My mother looks at me. She said, it's now or never, Heather. God gave you a mission. So I'm like, all right, Ma, that's it. I'm going to do this. I got kegs for legs, just to tell you, I am not a runner. You can need me to carry, like I'm like an ox. You need me to carry heavy stuff, I got you. I'm in it. But running and I are like, so I got friends that got legs in the military. I'm like, I'll just see you at the end. Like I'm not gonna catch you. Like, nah, these things don't run fast, but they're strong. So I started there. What was really amazing about that year was I did it. I finished it. It was great. And then next thing you know, I was looking to do Tough Mudder. So I'm like all excited, Tough Mudder, yeah, this is the obstacle course racing thing. God was like, nope, you're not doing it. But I'm going to tell you, this is where God comes in. It was so amazing. I get so excited sharing God's story. So I'm like all bummed out. I thought I had bursitis because I was training to run to like, all right, I'm going to do the Tough Mudder. It's looking really scary. So let me get trained. So I'm training. I go one night, I'm 2 miles from my house. I go down, I call my mother, I call my whole house. I'm like, hey, I can't move my knee. Something's going on. Like it's all jacked up. So I go to the doctor. They think I have bursitis. Find out years later I have meniscus tears. Well, whatever. I just keep pushing through it. So
Ow.
I didn't do that event, but what was crazy is, so I'm like, okay, my doctor cleared me, said, give it about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you can do something else. So I found this thing called Bone Frog Challenge. Loved it. It was in honor of the 31 heroes that got killed in the Chinook. And so I took that really in August. I took that really serious. I'm like, oh, Kevin Houston, he's from Cape Cod. Like, yeah, let me do this. So I sign up. What was really crazy, see, God didn't want me to do Tough Mudder. And I share the story with people. I'm like, you believe whatever you want. I know this was God's doing. This is how amazing this story is. I go to do Bone Frog Challenge. I'm pumped up. I'm like, I catch up with the elite athletes, but I wouldn't pass them. Okay, they were 15 minutes. They started 15 minutes after the regular people, me and the regular. I catch up to this woman, Betty Gonzalez. I gave her my word. I'm not going to pass you. We're going to go in together. Gave her my word, put our hands up. We ran in together because I didn't want to cross them because they were the elites. And I'm all about like your word and that, right? You keep your word, you keep your bond. That's your integrity. So I run in with her. Next thing you know, I meet this girl, Michelle. I'm going to try to fast forward to get this as fast to you as I can. But I meet this girl, Michelle, and she's like, hey, what are you guys doing? This is amazing, blah, 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 blah. So we connect. And I forward it now. Now that was September. Now I go to this event called Cape Cod Cares for Our Troops in 2013. And I meet this Vietnam veteran, and I have this all for a cause sweatshirt, a Wounded Warrior Project hat. And this veteran's like, hey, what's that all about? And I'm talking to him and we're talking, he sees my bracelet, stuff like that. And he goes, I want you to meet someone. I'm like, okay. So he goes to introduce me to this man. And Jim, like, again, and Tracy, this would touch you guys. Like, so he goes to meet me. I'm seeing this woman. She has this picture. I have no idea what it is. She's like, hey, would you mind taking a photo of us? I'm like, yeah. And the guy goes, Vietnam veteran goes, oh, this is the guy I want you to meet. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So he goes to introduce me to this guy. He turns around, he goes, nice hat, because he had a Wounded Warrior hat. I'll never forget his navy blue. Mine was black and white, his navy blue and white. And he goes, hey, what's your sweatshirt all about? So I'm starting to explain. He turns his back on me, goes in his Jeep, and he's like, I'm like, man, God, this guy don't want to hear my story. So he comes out. He hands me a patch. He goes, this is my son, Marine Corporal Nicholas Zarles. He was killed in Afghanistan, July 23rd, 2009. I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, now it's not clicking with me. July 23rd, my mother's birthday. She was the one that said now or never. Okay. So I'm like in awe. I'm like, wow, this man this is the first guy I started honoring. I'm like, I posted the social media. The girl, Michelle, I met at the Bone Frog Challenge goes, I know him. I'm like, what do you mean you know him? She goes, my ex-husband was a Marine and they were at the same camp, Kim Lejeune. And me and my girlfriend were friends with his GI girlfriend. Now, mind you, I just meet this man. His name's Steve Zarles. Love the man. He actually did a lot for Joe Hani's family out here in Massachusetts. And I'm like, oh my goodness, right? Like, Jim, I'm sitting here going, Tracy, I'm going, how do I ask this guy that I just met? Like, he's going to be like, what are you stalking me? So I go, hey, but I go, I know I just met you and you asked me to be a part of Team Big Nick. I was like, but I got a question. And I gave him a name and he's like, oh my goodness. So then that's how the bond started. But the crazy thing about this, now let me reverse back to the Boston bombing. God, this is again my faith. And I tell people, I am not playing. You ask me this 20 years from now, as long as I don't have dementia, I got my right mind. It's my story's not going to change because it's the truth, right? You can't change the truth.
Absolutely.
For that, but rewind it back to the Boston bombing. I kept seeing this guy with the cowboy hat, you two with the cowboy. And I swear to you, the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit everyone always says, oh, that's your intuition. No, it's the Holy Spirit, right? And I remember, like, I kept feeling in this thing, like, you're gonna carry this man's kids. I'm like, what are you talking about? I have like significant other, like, I'm with, like, what are you talking? I'm like, Lord, you're sounding nuts, right? So like, that's back when I prayed, like, and I kept seeing this man with cowboy. He's carrying, doing the tourniquet, right? And I'm like, wow, this is like so, like, wow, wow, like, I can't even believe this. I meet Steve Zaros in October. All of a sudden, he takes me under his wing. He teaches me about Gold Star families. He teaches me things you don't learn in school, which they should teach this stuff in school because they don't. And I'm
Absolutely.
like, wow, this guy's amazing, right? He brings me to go get sand, and we call it Baby Nick, and we carry it, and it's got sand in it. And he took me to the beach Nick went to, and there's so much more to it. But because I did my first Go Ruck in honor of Nick, October 19th, 2013, I have that same Go Ruck that you guys see, the backpack that I wear with all the ribbons. That's the same one I got. So fast forward that day to December 2013, Steve says to me, I want you to come out to this dinner we're having for the Gold Star families. I said, oh, okay, absolutely. Whatever. I go out to that in Boston. He comes up to me, he goes, oh, it's great that you see you. He goes, I want you to meet someone. Lo and behold, it's the man with the cowboy hat. And he says to me, I heard all about you. He has a very distinguished accent. And he takes off this pin. He goes, would you carry my son, Alex and Brian? And I was like,
Wow.
oh, Lord Jesus. I said, you got it. So that's why I tell people, like, my favorite is Proverbs, right? Proverbs 5:26. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lead not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Trust me, these days I'm like, Lord, I love your path looks beautiful. I love it, but I kind of want to do myself, right? Your flesh path. So, I've like through 10 years, I look back and I'm like, man, if I never took that step and listened and said, that's just my brain thinking, or that's just me thinking. But the funny thing is, even through all of this and all the events, Go Ruck, which is amazing, like all these events, I've met sadly through grief, I've met a lot of, in tragedy, I've met a lot of amazing people, Gold Star families, and we've honored their children and given them hope and inspired them. But I just look at, like, imagine if I never took that step, like, none of us would know each other, right? Like, none of those connect, all these bonds that I'm watching people create. And it's not even, you're not even necessarily supposed to be in that, maybe that clique of those friends, but you introduce them to each other, right? So it always goes back to that prayer. And trust me, I've had heartache. I mean, I've lost multiple friends in this journey. Like my friend Tracy, she passed away a few years ago. Bad car accident. Hour before she passed away, I was doing leg press. I was like pressing like 500 pounds. She's like, oh, this is again, my faith. She goes, oh, I only wish I could. And I said, God will give you strength. And then an hour and a half later, she was gone. But what gave me peace, there were two things. Because I was grieving, but I kind of grieve in a different way where I keep going forward. Because if I stop, and my friend Ricky, who's a Gold Star brother, says it's the best. Ricky Atherton, he said, if I stop to think about it, it becomes real. And I realize that that's what I do, right? I don't stop it. That's why Gold Star families, you go, 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 go. So you don't have to think, right? But it's that dark time at nighttime when you're like, you have no one to talk to. You feel like you don't. So it's just really amazing how these things happen and how God works. And we don't always, and that's why I tell people we can't understand is why, because my friend Tracy, I was like, God, why did this happen? So I went to the scene and I find, if you guys know anything about me with pennies, I was always picking them up and I find 3 pennies and I'm thinking, oh my goodness.
Okay.
Holy hell.
Like at the scene, I pick them up. I'm picking these up. But then God, the Holy Spirit's like, look at her Facebook. I look at her Facebook that morning. She said to me, it's not that I don't believe in God. I just don't like churchgoers because, hi, Ty, because they tend to not, they tend to be hypocritical. Surprise! Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. How are you? So it's just, I tell people this. I've had like losing Major Justin Fitch. Ty knows Major Justin Fitch. Losing my friend Jeremy Lee. The last words I said to him, Jim, was, "Oh, okay. He was in the hospital. I'm the type of girl, in case you can't tell, I will text you a book." And I was like, I can't do that to Jeremy. Then he passed away. This is God, though. This is what was amazing, because I was able to say that. I can share so many stories of how God has placed in my life with people. My friend Bob, I was doing Tough Rock. He's like, "Heather, hey." I was like, "Hey, hold on, Bob. I'll be right back." God, the Holy Spirit's like, "You need to go talk to him." So I go to use the restroom after doing Tough Rock. I go to talk to him. That night he died in his sleep. Uh, um, my friend Elaine, she tries to call me. She leaves me a voice message. I had seen her, we weren't expecting her to pass away. Next thing you know, she leaves me a voicemail. I tried to call her back, nothing. She passed away on July 4th. God bless the fact that she was a huge patriot, loved our veterans. And what gave me peace was that last voicemail, right? So like, I try to, honestly, Jim, what I try to do is I look at all the ways that through grief, through things, like you with your son and Tracy with your son, you might have saved someone's life because your child is the reason why they say, "I got to get out of this dark place," because he can't hug his son, she can't hug her son, and they no longer can get phone calls, text. So that's really what I push out to the public. Like, do I have my days? Yeah, I cry. I'm like, I mean, Jim, I was given the 13 Fallen bracelet at Johanni's funeral because a guy had asked me my story, and I've been wearing that ever since. And I tell people, these bracelets, I don't like, other than the couple that we did in honor of our people that we presenting them to the families, and then they gave me one back. These all have a story, man. So
Absolutely.
it's not like I don't just pick them up and like put them on my wrist and call it. No, they all have a story of someone that gave me that and said, "Will you carry my son? Will you carry my husband?" Or, I mean, Celia Logan gave me a bracelet of her husband at the home base. So it's those moments. And like Ty, 8 years old, reaching out to me and Major Justin Fitch. I mean, heck, I got to tell you a funny story. Ty, don't get embarrassed on this one. Because he had such long hair, and I was like, "Oh, he's such a," and shame on me, right? But I was like, I'm like, "This is so sweet," right? And then he's like, "No," he's like, he set me straight. But he was just such an amazing young boy. And again, if I didn't listen to the Lord, none of this would have. Ty might not even be in the military.
Couple things there. Tai, pleasure. I got your questionnaire, and I apologize. I have not answered it yet. I am getting there. Life has been chaotic as hell. It is a pleasure to meet you, sir. Love your dad. I spent a lot of time talking to your dad after each program. Heather, you keep hitting on something that is so close to my heart. You will never know. Johanni and her family. We, for 3 years, we just have no contact. We can't contact them. They have been left out of so many things, and there's so much love that we have for them that we just can't share because they are very private. Now, when we got the congressional medals in Washington, D.C., now the hat comes into play there. We did our things, and I have not seen that family since Dover when the dignified transfer. And at that point, I couldn't even tell you what they looked like because that was just a blur. We're all numb, and it was miserable.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to reach out to the family, and there's a couple people that had contact with them, but you really couldn't get in contact with them. Whatever. Long story short, we fast forward to the congressional medal, and it was after the medal, and we had all gone out to dinner, and Alicia Lopez, who is Hunter Lopez's mother, one of the fallen 13, and she comes and taps me on the shoulder and says, "Jim, Johanni's mom and sister would really like to meet you." It's like, you got to be kidding me. So immediately, oh, hell yeah. I pushed my daughters aside and went to sit with Rosie and her mom. The best hour and a half I have ever spent in my life. Rosie, and I'm sure you know Rosie. What a beautiful
Hey,
soul.
Jim,
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt you, but it's lights out soon. He's active duty, and he's just wanting to say hi and bye.
Yes.
He's in the military.
I just wanted to pop in.
That was my
I
other
just wanted to
question
pop
to
in
him
and
is,
say,
do you have time to hang out with us tonight? Sorry about that.
No, he's active. Go for it, Ty.
So
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I just wanted to pop in and say hello to you all, and thank you. Thank you for begging me to come on and say hello. But here I am now. I do only have a few minutes before lights out, so I do have to go pretty soon. But I wanted to say to the group that Heather is an amazing person, and she has brought me so incredibly far. I truly would not be where I am today without her, and I'm eternally grateful for everything she has done. I Sir, don't worry. I don't worry about the questionnaire, because I know how being busy is, because I'm busy every single day here as well. So it's definitely hard to get a few minutes to do things like this. So, but yeah, thank you. I will look. I'll be looking forward to doing more honor push-ups, and eventually, when I get to the regular army out of AIT and everything, doing a lot more honor runs. I'm going to try and hit that as heavy as I can with my regular work schedule. But I definitely look forward to it all. So
Can I share you and your story and your journey? Do you mind if I share that on social media? Are you good with that, or?
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
of course, go for it.
Oh, absolutely. Done deal.
I'm
Absolutely.
so I just want to say, Ty, I'm so excited, and I really look forward to the day we all of us collectively can meet in person. And I'm so proud of you. And I was saying to Tracy, I wish that, like, the 3-hour time difference over all these years, I said I wish every month we had taken time since you were that young to have those conversations. But I always would watch and like see what you were doing and speak your name, right? So like, it's really, again, it's what you say in the public and what you share in the public, not just Facebook. Yeah, I tell people, don't put your character just on the don't allow that to be the judge, like how many clicks people like, because it's who the people are that are going out there telling your story. And I'm so proud of you, as if I was like your mama, like you're behind the scene mama, like adopted mama, because my mother and I would always talk about you, and I'm just so proud. And I remember when you first started, you didn't know which avenue you going, and I just look back like, man, Major Justin Fitch would be extremely proud of how far you are. And I mean, gosh, I know his character. He probably would have been at like everything that he could be for you. I mean, I can't tell you in enough words how proud I am of this young boy that reached out to just us. We were just doing our thing, like honoring the fallen and doing the push-ups. That's a whole nother story for myself, right? And then one day you message me like, and you always say, Miss Heather, I think I'm gonna do these push-ups, and I'm like, all right, do it, boy. Like, because again, I can do what I do, but you're the next generation, right? So like, and I'm
Yes.
gone, you still have to carry that legacy on, right? So like, I think I'm gonna live till 103, but God's got a long mission for me. But you've done such an amazing job, and you've taken so many people's grief at such a young age and inspired others to open their eyes that when you think you have a bad day, you have freedom that so many people in this world don't have. You have the number one thing I hear from people who come from other countries the right way, and they love this country, sometimes more, is that it's not the American dream for them. They don't understand that what it is, because right, they're not Americanized yet. It's the American opportunity. And that's why so many people outside also will join our military that are from other countries, because it's the opportunity
Absolutely.
they have here. And you're being that beacon of hope for that next generation that needs it, because we're all getting older in age. We got meniscus tears, rotator cuff tears, sciatica. In the morning, our feet they're hitting the ground, but they ain't getting up fast, right? You are that beacon of hope for so many, and take that and drive it forward, and just share your story.
Yes, Taim, my friend, you're carrying that torch. We're all old. We it hurts when we get into bed.
You keep saying we are all old.
I feel young, but
I'm really old. But no, you are, and I watch your videos, and I share them.
You're as old as you feel.
Friends, but I wasn't sure if I should share your things publicly or not.
Definitely.
But what you're doing, the reason you're doing it, and the pride in how you do it. Are you kidding me? You're going to, and I'm going to make sure I help this happen as well. You're reaching people that you will never know that you're reaching, and you're going to reach people that need that in a moment of their life when they didn't even know they needed to see you, hear that. You're inspirational. You're influential. Appreciate you, my friend, and you keep doing what you're doing because you're doing a damn good job at it.
Thank you so much.
I have to say hi. Thank you, Tai. I have known him since he was younger and started online, everyone. And everyone was like, get that kid off of the pages, Tracy, your groups. And I'm like, that kid is actually honoring people that are no longer here and serving our country. So now that kid is an administrator of the group. So,
Quick question. You're still in Texas, right?
Yes, I'm in Texas right now.
Yeah, OPSEC. Don't say exactly where, but he's definitely he's close to me. Let's put it that way. Tai, I just want to say thank you. You already know about me and with two-step, and I will always make you the person in charge on every bit of that, and can't wait to see you at Patriot Fest. We're talking a lot about the UFC and music. We love our UFC wrestling. That's a little piece of Tai there, y'all, that I do know, and we have that in common. But Tai, thank you so much for your service. I can actually say that to you now.
Yes.
That's he is an active duty service member now, just finished boot camp at AIT. Hey, Tai, always stand up, step up, and speak up. Always. Even if it's in the military, you step up, speak up, and stand up, because your voice matters. It doesn't matter if it's a president. It doesn't matter. Now, respect, but you still use your voice. So take that from me. And that's what I told Two-Step. And that is my son. And I am proud of that one. And you. So
appreciate
I'm not far. So that was Heather's surprise. I was like,
I love
coordinating. I'm so sorry, Jim, but him active duty and Tai, I know a minute you're going to go, it's lights out. And I'm like, there's sending me messages. So I apologize, Jim, for interrupting.
Not at all. Not at all. I get it.
I was like, he's going to have lights out. So Tai, do you have something you'd like to say before you do have to jump out?
I guess one of my last notes would be that it's definitely weird being the one thanked for his service. I'm usually the one doing the thanking. So, but of course, thank you all for having me, and thank you for all of the kind words. I just wish to continue doing what I'm doing and helping as many people as I can. So thank you all for having me on, and I definitely do need to get going now.
You're appreciated more than you know. Love you, my friend.
You are.
Love you, sweetheart, and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Well, that was Tai, our active duty service member now in the Army due to OPSEC. I won't say exactly where. I am going to be the closest mama for all of you out there who's adopted him. But due to OPSEC, I actually need to make sure we stick to an area for our active duty. So, Jim, I apologize. You were on
Royce
from
and I
the
are
heart.
planning a trip to because I kind of know where he's at and everything. So
yeah, you do. Yeah,
now we're taking a road trip, and
Oh no, they are sending me a message. It's like lights out. I was like, uh-oh. And Jim, I feel so bad. You were right in the middle of a very heartfelt story about the family, which I know as well. And it is very, very, very much in my heart. And I was like, how do I interrupt this?
Oh,
I'm going to look awful, but I was like, I apologize.
You're good.
Heather happens to know Tai from when he was like 8 years old.
No
running
kidding.
around.
Yeah.
8 years old. Yeah. Wow. He reached out to Heather. So this is Heather on here. GiveToThose.org for everyone out there paying attention to Patriots Inside the Wire. Thank you for doing so. Please share. Get everyone to follow, and let's take care of our people. Heather's on tonight. Give to the number 2. GiveToThose.org. Again, GiveToThose.org is the number 2. Check it out. But we got tonight our guest right here with Jim McCollum. We're talking about, again, everyone on Patriots Inside the Wire. Let me stress this. This is not just about our fallen. It's about our people. The people that are here right now, our patriots, and the things that we can do. Just because Jim and I are hosting a show and we are Gold Star fallen active duty children that we're serving in the line of duty, active duty, we call this Patriots Inside the Wire for a reason. Because if we don't have the people, it's the people that we need to thank. It's the people that we still need. It's those patriots that step up like Heather right here. So tonight on Patriots Inside the Wire, Heather is the biggest patriot. She is Wonder Woman. And I too, Jim, just watching go, oh my gosh. She mentioned a hike. There's a really big hike coming up in Texas. I was at an appointment today and I was asking, how far is that distance? And I was like, if it's not driven, I'll see if I can fly in after her parents retreat with the Burgesses. You met Terry Burgess. Oh, so Heather, I got to introduce Jim. Yeah, I got to introduce Jim, and he didn't know there was a Gold Star Families Day. And I was like, perfect. It was Terry Burgess and Jim is on. So for everyone out there, you can go find this episode. I'm going fast like Heather so I can hurry and then get back to your topics. But I just want everyone to make sure that they know where we're at right here. You're at Patriots Inside the Wire. You can check us out on multiple platforms, podcasts. Right now, we are live with Heather at GiveToThose.org. That's the number 2, GiveToThose.org. Big hike is coming up in El Paso, Texas in March. Miss Vested Up, Miss Patriot, Miss, I mean, everything you could think of. And it is Wonder Woman. I have to put I said Superwoman. I was quickly corrected.
It is Wonder Woman.
Wrong one, Tracy. Wonder Woman. And I said, okay, I got it. Heather, thank you for joining us. Y'all continue, but that was to surprise you. So Tai, we've all been like planning this. And if anybody listening out there, you know this, Heather, you know this, Jim, planning something with someone active duty. I even tried.
It's rough.
It's hard.
There are time restraints that the rest of the world can't fathom.
Like they're out, too bad, so sad. So I was like, uh-oh. Yeah. Again, so continue.
And there's no leeway. There's no, I'll get there in 5 minutes. No, it's now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You gotta go. Yeah, that's one of the areas that my son was like, do what? I was like, yeah, that's how that works. But Heather, I have a question. This is something that a lot of us are like, well, is Heather a veteran? And I'm like, no, guess what? You don't need to be a veteran to support patriots and people. So I'm like, you can be involved. You can support. You really can make a difference. Someone like Jim is talking about himself. He's talking about one of the families. And here in Texas, we did I want to say but it's someone close to me. Alex did the flags there. And Jim, it's a weird, like you were talking about that, Heather. It's like Jim actually has a flag that was made by Alex Ramirez. It's wooden. And it's got Riley's picture in here. They did it for all the 13 in Texas. I didn't go. Again, I don't lie. I kind of shied away from going in public places for a while. And that's okay for me. Like, that's what works for me. There is no set guideline to how you're supposed to grieve, or have grief. So whatever works for you. But I will tell you that it's interesting. When I did get out, I felt better. You know what I mean, Jim? I heard you say that earlier.
Well, yes. I think to elaborate on that, I tell people this all the time now, it's those four walls that you can keep yourself in, and you can either go in a dark place or you can get outside those four walls and make a difference. So, it's something that I tell everyone. It's just we all get in those moments of like, oh, I'm just tired, or like, and that's fine. But I go, you don't know if tomorrow's your day to go, right? And I always tell people, like, the biggest things I tell people, please don't tell people, any family or anyone grieving, oh, you'll get over it. Or like I try to school people, like, grief has no cure, and that's okay. And grief is right. God gave us a heart of grief, right? And that shows compassion, that shows our love, right?
Yes.
Like, so I tell people all the time, like, but we got to turn that grief into, right? A thing I heard a long time ago: you die twice, once in the physical, and the second time when the last person says your name. So by you, Jim, doing what you do for your son and doing those mustard seeds, it's kids like Tyee. He'll drop it into another child when they get old enough, right? Like, some other 8-year-old will message him and say, hey, who are these 13 fallen you keep talking about, right? Just like, I didn't want my own nonprofit. I got to tell you, I was like, Lord, do not give me my own nonprofit. I'm perfectly happy supporting everyone else's, right? Because it's a full-time job and there's a lot into it. And but God was like, Heather, you faithful servant, you go and you do this. And ours started out, and going back to, the 13 fallen, and we started, myself and a group of my friends, and we call each other team, but we're more than that. We wanted to honor when they deployed into Afghanistan after 9/11, because we kept hearing 9/11, New York, Pennsylvania, Pentagon. I'm like, it started here in Boston. Like, those children that died on those planes, the last place they put their feet on the ground was Boston. No, we need to recognize this. And at the time, before we lost the 13 fallen, we were still at war 20 years later. And so we were going out and educating people on October 7th or around that date. Our team would take off out of Logan Airport and stop at all these memorials along the way, going down to Ground Zero at New York, up to Pennsylvania, at the 9/11 Memorial, and then to the Pentagon. We did it for 5 straight years, and we would do 911 miles or more. So we would break it up into motorcycle sections, running, cycling, and rucking. And there's a lot of stories on that. We've seen a lot of things, even God working in that. There was a lot of amazing things that happened. Seriously, that could be a whole nother show on some of the stuff that used to happen to us during the relays. But the last year was the hardest for us, Jim, because of the 13 fallen, and because that happened, in August 26th. We ended up putting you guys as children in that folded flag and carried it with us on our 5th year anniversary. And it ended up, because we were, it really struck our team very much so that when we got to the Pentagon, it was just, and it was actually the first year we ever got to the Pentagon, and they wouldn't allow us at the 9/11 Memorial, that we had to put it in the grass there. And I just remember handing people photos, and that's when we take those photos out of the flag that we carry that contains over 10,500 names and photos of those that have died on 9/11, who have died of cancer related illness from working at 9/11, like the firefighters, and all those that we've lost, and anyone that's had a family member that served that wants to be have us carry their loved one. It becomes so real when you open the flag and you see their photo. That's when, like, this was our why. And I always tell people, you have to find that why and purpose that drives you forward, because that why is going to get you out of that position, out of, like you were saying, like, people always say, oh, we're in the military. And I still get it sometimes, because I carry myself, or they see the bracelets and people assume, like, oh, she must have been military. I carry myself kind of hard. Even at the gym, like, I look this way and I don't really look at nobody, and it's just, I'm focused, right? But I tell people this, through this journey, Tracy, I found out, I was telling you this today, when I started looking at my family history, I've had family in my Ellithorpe, because my last name was Ellithorpe, in my family that have served ever since the Revolutionary War, except Iraq and Afghanistan. So my
I'll be
family, I've
damned.
got family, yeah, in every American war, my family of some sort has served even since the start of the Revolutionary War. So I was like, so I've even through this journey found out stuff about my family, but I don't sit there and tell people that's why I started. I started because of God and praying to God to give
In the
people
heart.
hope. And at the
Yes.
time when I started, there weren't all these motorcycle runs for the fallen. There weren't all these road races. There wasn't, and then all of a sudden I started watching. I'm like, wow, this thing's growing. So again, it's my faith. But when people ask me, well, what, I tell people, I'm like, do you want to hear the story or do you just want me to be like, oh, I just started picking up? No, the story is I prayed to God in May of 2013. I don't remember the exact day. I just remember it was in May of 2013. And I heard in my right ear, run for our troops. And I said, I will never deny God. Your beliefs can be whatever you want them to be. I'm just telling you my story. And again, like the thing is getting out there and speaking their names, getting out there.
Oh,
Like today
absolutely.
when I asked you about two-step, like what is two-step? Like I wasn't even thinking like two-step the dance, right? So I'm like, I don't like, and it's knowing those stories, right? Like understanding Riley's story. So when you speak, it's not like, well, you're like, I don't know. But even like when I think of Riley's story, I think of look at the blessing that God brought with the child, right? So like I think of I tend to look through that trials and tribulations and the cross we have to carry that God tells us we have to carry. Like even my friend Tracy, like even though she died in a car accident, I see all the kids that we're giving scholarships out. And actually we just got a letter from a kid saying like, hey, thank you for this. This means so much. And he's going in the military. And I'm just like, that never would have happened because and I mean this with all due respect, if she didn't pass away, these kids wouldn't right. So I guess the way I look at everything is just I can't question God's why. I can only say I trust in you, Lord. I'm angry at you, Satan, because you took my friend. But I'm going to take that and I'm going to turn that carrying my cross into something. So like, and I tell people you don't have to have served in the military. But I also tell people, don't make it about you. Make it about them. When they want to take a picture of the 13 fallen, right, of something on my bag, I say, make it about them. I don't need to be in the picture. I know what I look like every morning when I look in the mirror. Some days I'm like, whoa, oh, Lord, right? But like, I just remember them, remember their sacrifice, because you know what? They didn't have to go in. And that's the difference between me as a patriot and your children. They didn't have to. They chose to. They weren't drafted. And even those that were drafted, I have respect for, because you know what? They could have broke a knee or done something so they didn't have to go in, right?
Yep.
So everyone out there listening, and I saw Sergeant Carter, I carry his son on my vest.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's even if you put that why into a purpose and say, hey, you know what? Like I'm going to stop feeling bad for myself or whatnot. I tell people all the time, you got to keep moving forward because you're still here to do so. So it's like, for me, it's just an honor to be able to honor these people. And no, I didn't serve in the military. I'm honored. God chose me to be the vessel. That's all I can tell people. Like, I just listened. Listen, if you pray and you're a believer, listen to God and don't be scared. Trust me, during this whole thing, I've had those people, those critics, those, oh, look at her, this and that, and blah, 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 the social media trolls and warriors and everything else. I mean, heck, I have rotator cuff tears, slap bicep tear, meniscus tears, both knees, herniated disc, sciatica, and I actually have people busting my chops about how I do my push-ups, and I'm like, I've been doing push-ups for over 8 years every day, even when I had COVID surgery, everything. And oh yeah, 8 years.
I know. I've
right?
watched.
And people will say, well, you're not doing. I'm like, nothing for nothing. I mean, with all due respects, I'm a little like, my chest hits the ground a little bit faster.
Doing nothing. Oh my God. Oh,
so yeah. I just tell people, you can't. That's the problem, I think, in the world too. Instead of saying, wow, that's really amazing, they've been doing that, they want to criticize, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing to make a difference to?
Yes.
And I'll share you a story why I keep doing the push-ups, because when that 22 push-up challenge went around and all the celebrities and everyone, my friend was like, Heather, you've been doing that Tough Mudder. Why don't you get down and do this? I said, fine, I'll do it, but I'm going to push beyond 22, because for those that are struggling, for those grieving families, for those people in the military, for those so on. I said, it's not 22 days. It's every day, all day, unless they're busy. I said, so I'll keep pushing till I can no longer push and my shoulders give out, whatever. And they're not perfect. I have days where they're great. I have days where they're horrible. I've been doing them every day. My doctor says it's
365 days a year.
Yeah.
And you're recognizing what most people don't even think about.
Exactly, Jim. And the biggest thing,
you're recognizing everybody, whether it's a 22 a day or it's the ones that we lost, or whatever that case may be, or the rucks that you go on and the marches that you do and the things that you do. You're recognizing the people. I swear to God, 90% of America doesn't even know the story behind why you're doing what you're doing. So the fact that you're doing what you're doing in such a monumental, beautiful, compassionate way, and I'm not going to lie, you might see this. I share the hell out of the things that you do because I do appreciate what you do and I love what you do, and I try to keep up with you. I felt miserably, but I try to keep up with what you're doing and so on and so forth.
I think you do a great job, Jim.
We've lost our way. We have forgotten what really is important. What really is important.
The basics.
I am guilty of this myself. God, family, country. Because of my angst and my questioning, it's like my questioning why. I have never questioned why to God. I have never lost my faith in God, but damn it, we've had some serious conversations as to why. But when it all comes back together, life is still beautiful. And you got a couple choices. You can go left, you can go right.
You can lay down or get up.
Exactly.
Lay down or get up.
Factor and everything else, it's very prominent. It's like, no, I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be the guy. I'm gonna strive to be more like Heather. I'm gonna strive to be more like Tai. And that's the one thing I wish he was still here, because he's like, dude, you're 30 years younger than me, but you still influence me. So you have more of a voice than you think you know. At 22 years old, 21 years old, however old Tai is, your voice still resonates with people.
Younger than that.
What you know, because we're all looking for answers. We're all looking for hope for anything. There's no hope that Riley's coming back, for crying out loud, but I do have hope that I can go forward with a message that is going to honor Riley. I'm going to honor myself. I'm going to honor Riley. And this message is going to be conveyed by somebody who appreciates what I have to say. Mine, in the grand scheme of things, and I might be wrong, but my scope is a lot less, or my scope is more limited than Thais. Thais is a young kid with a big voice. You are a incredible, you are Wonder Woman with a freaking incredible voice. You guys actually reach more people than I ever will. I have name recognition because of Riley. I've got limited media outlets because of Riley. But you guys have, because everything is so pure and it's from the heart, you guys reach a way larger audience than I ever will. But your message, one, is in unison with mine, but yours is more profound and more beautiful. And you guys influence more people than I ever will in the rest of my life. Be it 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. I hope I live to be 103, but the jury's still out on that one. But no, the things that you guys do, the things you say, and the people that you reach, I will never reach the audience that you reach. I share it, and I share it. My daughters share it, which means my other daughter shares it. Their friends share it. So your reach is so far beyond anything I could ever do. But your message is so beautiful and so pure, and what you're doing and what Tai is doing, and people doing the same thing that you're doing is so it's so much more profound than what I'm doing. And I think that's why I was so excited to finally, I mean, we still haven't met in person, but I've known you now for 3 years, and I was so excited. It's like, yes, ma'am, I love you. I freaking love you. And I love what you do. I love your journey. I follow it. I am probably in the top 10 biggest fans. It's like, hell yeah. One, you inspire me. And if I share it, that inspires 2 or 3 of my friends. And it just, that whole, like you said, the ripple effect. We just inspired 200 people by a simple workout that you did. It's like, hell yeah, that's my girl. So
yeah. No, I mean, I thank, and I thank you guys, and that means so much to me, both Jim and Tracy, to both of you, because, like, again, even with that, going back to that relay, like, it all started with a prayer to God. It's like, we're going to unite motorcycles and runners and ruckers together. Cause I always would hear, well, I don't ride and I don't this and I don't that. I'm like, okay. And, and through that was actually what caused me to create Give to Those. We started off with Stride and Ride Inc., and then we changed our name to Give to Those, which Give to Those is actually Give to Those who serve, save, protect, and sacrifice. So that whole premise is like giving back, right? Giving back through our actions, not just putting a social media quote, hey, Memorial's Day, we remember, never forget. Okay, well, that's that one day, but like, what are you doing? Like, and that's why like throughout the year, and like, and I tell people, like, you got to sit and listen and hear the stories and talk to the families and understand what you're doing. Like, when you're adding that pin or that, wearing these bracelets, like, there's stories behind those. Those are people's children. Those are people's, like, husbands, wives, and the dreams, the I said, you look at a graveyard and you're just like, man, there's so many dreams and aspirations and untold stories. So, like, that's another motivator for me. And like I said, like, yeah, I mean, there's times I'll do events and then people will start talking, they're like, oh, so what? And it's always funny because it's like, oh, so what, were you in the Marines? And I'm like, I kind of joke, like, I was like, I actually said to a Marine friend of mine, Jim, I said, can someone please get me the, like, Camp Lejeune, and I'll just do the darn thing. I know I'm getting older. Okay, I'll be 45 this year. I feel like I'm stuck in my 30s, and
I miss that. I miss that. And you can tell me to shut up.
Yeah,
You're going to be how old this year?
I'll be 45. I'll be 45 this year.
45.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, but I feel young, and like, I feel like, even with all the aches and the pains, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm still hitting the ground running. But it's like, I'm like, can someone please put me in Camp Lejeune? I'm serious, and like, just let me do like some, like, I don't even care if it's a crash course weekend thing, just to prove, like, I will do whatever it takes. Like, and it's kind of like, I kind of joke about it only because I've had people say things to me like, oh, so you're in the Marines, like, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And like, then I said, and sometimes I get like, then they kind of walk away. And like, what's funny is I have a few real good friends that are like high ranking and stuff. And they're like, no, like, you don't understand this girl here. Like, she outdoes, like, one of my friends, first sergeant, he's a first sergeant. He goes, Heather, I swear, I love his accent. He goes, I swear you would have been an Army Ranger or something. I just kind of chuckle, but it's my mindset, right? And like you were saying,
well, that's where my mind just went. It's like, yeah, Marine, she's gonna freaking smoke you.
Like, right? Like, and it's such an honor when people think that of you. But the thing that's like, just, it's just cool. Like, everything that Give to Those started with that prayer. And then, like Tracy was talking about, the El Paso. So we're coming out to do Baton Memorial Death March, 11 of us, which is amazing because we've launched, Give to Those has launched our Vest Up for the Fallen. Okay.
When is that?
That is
March.
March 22nd.
March 22nd.
Terry and those guys usually they go out to that. So Terry, I met Terry there in 2019 when I did it. That's how I started honoring his son Brian. And we're have a whole team this time going out. And we're gonna have our vests, and I'll probably have my rucksack. But Vests Up for the Fallen, believe it or not, I was telling Tracy this today. Like, so that started because of everyone canceling all the COVID because of COVID. I'm like, wait a minute, they're canceling something that has to do with a flag raven? Like, one person can raise a flag in memory. I was like, so I'm sitting here like, Lord, again, I love talking about the Lord, because it's just like, I pray, I'm like, Lord, I'm like, I need to do something to give these families hope. And the Holy Spirit's like, Boston and Born. I'm like, all right, this is like 33 miles. I got this. I've done back-to-back marathons. Like, it's 65 miles. So I reach out to some of my closest friends. I'm like, listen, guys, so anyways, you guys want to come out Memorial Day weekend and do this thing called Vests Up for the Fallen? Well, we didn't have a name, actually. We didn't even have I go, I'm going to walk from Boston to Bourne. We're going to start at the Common at the 54th Regiment, across the street from the State House, and we're going to go all the way to Bourne National Cemetery. And they're like, all right, we're in. Because like, those are your ride or die friends, right? Those are your friends that, like, they got your back. And I'll tell you, it was tough because thank God, and I swear by this product, Liquid IV, because they sent us a ton of product, and because of COVID, no stores were open after like 9 o'clock, whatever. So I had no real hydration. I mean, that whole thing was a God thing. 15 miles out from Bourne, I had this much hydration in my water bottle. No water. That was it. And if I didn't have that liquid IV, if I didn't put that liquid IV in my drink, I swear. So my girlfriend, it was just a funny story. My girlfriend Susan jumps out. She's like, all right, Heather, we got this. We're gonna make this, right? So all of a sudden, she's talking my ear off, and I'm like, she gives me a peanut butter, like this peanut butter bar, and I'm eating. I'm like, and I take it out, I spit it. She's talking to me about ice cream. What's your favorite? I'm like, I look up the sky. I was like, and I tell her this story. We laugh about it. I look up to the sky. I'm like, Lord, please make her stop. Please. I can't talk no more. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I get to Bourne. So along the way, though, back this up. Before I get to Bourne, our team meets this awesome dude. He's a police officer. He's doing a detail, but he's on the National Guard, but he's with the quartermaster. So he's like, oh, this is awesome. He's like, I'm going home and getting my kids. We're going to cheer you guys on. We're like, yeah, right. We ain't going to see him after this morning. But he did. And there's a reason why I'm talking about him, Tracy, right? So, like, he comes back out with his kids, they're waving their flags during the pandemic. Everyone's like, what are you going to do?
Hell.
Yeah, like, they're like little kids waving their flags, right?
Oh.
So I get to Bourne that morning. It's exactly 24 hours. I'm freezing because that morning, like, going over that bridge, I was like, I'm freezing. One of my friends giving me a jacket. I get in my friend's car to warm up. It was a Gold Star mother who comes out, Cynthia, and she's like, hey, Heather, I wanted to support you. Here's some pins of my son, Mark, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, I got to go. I got to finish this last 5 miles. It took me 2.5 hours to get to Bourne that last 5 miles, but I didn't quit. And the devil tried. And I actually joke about this because one of my friends who's now he's a director of Vests Up for the Fallen. He's one of our directors. I joke with him. I'm like, the devil tried to make me stop through you. I was like, not today, Satan. Because at one point around mile 47, it started getting dark out. And he's like, we need to get in the car. I'm like, we started in dark. What are you talking about? So it's like, I look back, but you know what it was? My character. And I said, I told those families I was finishing. And that's the only reason I didn't get in the car. I said, we're raising money. We're telling those, I'm not quitting for those families. And trust me, I'm telling you, the devil was trying, man. Because why? I tell people this all the time, because it was God that put me on the mission. And I just listened. So my point to you guys is why Vests Up for the Fallen, how this comes into play, and why we're going out to El Paso and everything else. So that guy that I met in November of 2020, he texts me, hey, you guys doing that thing again? I'm like, oh boy, I thought this was just a one done, like, right? Because I figured the weekend was going to be over, we're going to get moving again.
Like, oh, shit.
Right? So how are great ideas formed? Through things that you just sit and talk about, or you do, right? So now that's how it became the name Vests Up for the Fallen, because I was wearing a vest that year. And I just was like, all right, Lord, what do I call this thing that we got? And it was like, that's how Vests Up for the Fallen was created. So through that, it's just now it's growing, and we actually launched that whole thing this year. So now we tell people, get involved. get a vest. You know, that the reason I was telling Tracy about this today, Jim, that vest is so important to the military and our first responders. I know, like firefighters don't wear vests, but they wear gear. Why is it important? Protects major organs to keep you alive. It gets you out of hazardous situation, and it's by that
Pull
pull
you
strap,
out.
it lifts you
Yeah.
back up and gets you going forward. So that's why we wear the vest.
Oh no.
It's okay. It's the internet. She's right back. I see her coming right back in here. She's talking about the vest, and so Texas in March of the 22nd. She's talking about that. There she is. She's already back.
Here she comes. There she is.
There she is.
I don't know what happened. So Vesta for the Fallen. So we launched Vesta for the Fallen this year. Like really launched it as like, okay, here we go. And it's been already, we have so many people like, hey, how do I get involved? What do I do? And I'm like, you can fundraise, you can do this. You know, we have flags. We're really focused on the marketing of this, but it's more like, and I was telling you, I'm going to do something special for Cash Tracy to give him that purpose and why. Okay. And that vest represents so much more than just, this is, I'm like some dude running or some girl running in a vest. No. For me, it's always spiritual. That vest protects your heart. That vest protects your organs. That vest is something that when your child's in harm's way, they got to pull you out. They get you out through your vest. It is more than just a vest. And so for us, it has become that purpose. And so for us going out to El Paso, I just said to some people, I said, hey, you guys want to do this? I said that Baton Memorial Death March, and ironically, they walked 65 miles. It was in days versus a weekend. And we don't sleep doing our 65 miles, by the way. Memorial Day weekend, we go from Boston to Bourne. There's no sleeping because I tell people your mindset's going to get you there. And it's a very hard event. It's called Vest Up for the Fallen. We do that in Memorial Day weekend. It starts on
Memorial.
people think like, oh, I can do this. And the funny thing is, First Sergeant and other people have like laughed because people are like, oh, if she can do it, and she wasn't even in the military, I can. And he's like, you don't even know.
And then their asses are dropping out. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Hey Jim, I'll just say this, okay? With all due respect, I love you, Marines. All right. Hey, this is gonna be a challenge.
Wait. Be careful, damn.
Hey Tracy, you're gonna love this one. I'll say this. So if anyone ever want to come out and challenge themselves to do Vesta for the Fallen 65 miles with us and from Boston to Bourne, I'll just say the Army always seems to finish, but I've seen so many Marines tap out. So take that how you want it.
Wait. I'm going to say this live on air and for everybody to see. As a Marine father, ma'am, I'm doing it with you, and I will finish. And there is no way in hell I am not going to finish.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe I raced a different Marine. I've known some little lackluster Marines, but no. You let me know date and time I'm in, and I will finish. I guarantee you. I will finish.
I would love you guys to come out and be a part of it.
Oh, please. Absolutely. I would love that more than you know.
If any of you, we're having a lot of feedback. We can't
We have
hear.
a lot of echo going on.
Jim and Heather, one of you, if you have your Facebook on or Instagram or any social apps, we're having a lot of feedback, reverb from one of the mics. So I just want to check. And it didn't happen until you went out and came in. So I'm checking.
Heather's in her vehicle, so it can't be.
Yeah, I'm just
Can't
sitting
be
here.
me. That's Rylee. That's Rylee giving me shit. Going, yeah, whatever, Dan. No.
It is you, actually. It is you. I just muted mics to find out. It's okay though. So
Marine thing. I'm telling you, that's what that is. Because I just got done telling you, like, I don't know. I'm just telling you. It was funny because this past year during Vesta for the Fallen, there were these Marines and they were talking so much smack. And the only reason I know is because I have friends that kind of circle around and listen to what people say in the morning. And they're like, oh, if she could finish, and they're, rolling that, and they tapped out before. So there's this place called Alumni Sports Cafe, awesome place in Pembroke, Mass. They give us amazing pizza, and Linda and her husband are such huge supporters. And we always stop there. So I always tell people, like, yeah, that's the marathon mark. But I actually, to be honest, because right, morale. And listen, I don't like to lie, but I like people to feel good. Like, yeah, I made it to a marathon, but
Absolutely.
a marathon's actually like a 10th of a way up more. It's like at the lights. There's like a set of lights that are a little bit further up. But I always go, you made a marathon. So it's so funny because the Marines actually tapped out before the marathon. It was just this group of Marines, but I just thought it was funny because they were really nice and whatever. But like, and I got to tell you, and I would love it too if there's any way that you guys can somehow meet us with Terry and all them, and maybe you guys can all talk about it at Baton Death March. You don't have to do it, but you can come out and support it. But the reason why, we had this kid Nick. I met this kid 2 years ago when we did Vesta for the Fallen. He's like, what are you guys doing? He's in a black car. He's like, and he hands me all the money he has in his wallet. He's like, this is all I have, blah, blah, blah. And this is what I'm talking about, the ripple effect of if I didn't listen to God. Again, this is a God story. So he gives me the money. This is 2 years ago. Then this year, I see, I didn't know it was him. I see him and like, we're talking. And he's like, yeah, I was the guy that gave you the money. And I said I wanted to do that one day. He goes, I didn't do it that year. He goes, but here I am. I'm like, oh my goodness, I remember you were the kid that gave us all the money that was in your wallet and you thought it was the coolest thing and all. I go, you had the black car. He goes, yeah. He kind of gives you this side smile, like, yeah. He's like, because I think he was surprised I remembered. I go, oh my goodness. So funny thing is, and this is what I'm going to say to your audience and anyone that wants to follow the Vest Up for the Fallen through Give to Those or our Facebook page, he finished 65 miles. I run at 26 miles, at the 26 mile at Alumni. He was having problems with his feet. I said, take off your shoes. Let me do it. He goes, no, my feet. I said, I'm going to take off your shoes. I'm like a mama right now. I know how to get this going. I've done the event twice in my life. Once in the heat, once in the pouring rain. I do everything I have to do. This kid finishes. He never has ever done a 5K before in his life when he showed up to do this year. That was the first event he had ever done. Never trained, never. I go, so what's the furthest? So he's over the bridge. There's this like iconic photo I took of him. Because this is when I asked him. He's over the Bourne Bridge. I go, how do you feel? He goes, he has this crack smile, like that, one of those sideways smiles.
Shitty grin. Yeah.
He gives me this grin. He goes, I feel great. I go, how many miles have you ever done in your life? Look how far you've gotten. You're almost there. You're 5 miles out from Bourne. He goes, honestly? He goes, this is my first. I've never even done a 5K. I said,
oh my
miles. At that point, he was at 60 miles. I'm like, oh my. So you see, but see how I look at it in the spiritual. I go, wow. And now he's coming out to do Baton. He so loves what we do that he's a part of our Vesta for the Fallen team. But you see, he's gonna have, because he's young. He's only like 20. 23, 24. He's got a huge story ahead of him too, like Tyee. Tyee's like 18, but like these two kids, you see what I'm saying? So their stories are what I sit there and this is the stuff I look back on. Like I always think of that moment, like, Lord, if I didn't take those 2 steps, okay? If I didn't take those 2 steps,
ma'am, I
wouldn't know any of you guys. Tyee wouldn't know any of you guys. Tyee wouldn't be doing push-ups. Tyee wouldn't be going to the military because he, I give so much glory to God because I'm like, wow, not enough
Heather,
glory goes to God.
In 3 years, you can't put a number on that. You cannot quantitate the number of lives that you have changed, not just through the fallen, not just through military, not just through law enforcement, not the lives that you have changed in the last 3 years, because one, you have such a beautiful message and you have such a beautiful voice in how you share what this means to you. You don't have to be military. You don't have to be this. You don't have to be, you just have to be alive. You just have to have a heartbeat, and the lives that you have changed. And that's why my daughters and I were so drawn to you. It's like, holy hell. Because we vetted the shit out of you, for a lack of a better term. Like, okay, she's got to be military. And I'm arguing with my daughters. No, she's Marine, and they're like, no, she's Army. It's like, well, she's none of the above. Are you kidding me? Well, why? So then we started looking into your story of why. Well, your why is about as beautiful as life can get. Your why is life. Your why is this is who we are. I am just like you, and life is beautiful, and let's make a difference. And it took me longer than my daughters to catch up, because I was always looking for that. No, there's an angle here. There's something. My daughters is like, no, Dad, this girl is beautiful. So when I caught on to that, it's like, oh my goodness, this woman is just fucking sorry.
It's okay. That's why we're independent. It's all good. That's why we're independent, Jim. It's all good.
Awesome.
If I say it, get bail money, because I don't say it, but you can say it, Jim.
No, and no, I have always admired you and adored what you did, but then when I realized, it's like, man, there's no end game for her. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. She's not doing this for commercial reasons or anything else. Like, I absolutely love this girl. So then, whether you know it or not, all your workout videos and stuff, I'm sharing them with everybody I freaking know that has any inclination to even be remotely where we are, or military savvy or interested. And no, it's been pretty cool. But I do have to say, I'm a couple months behind my daughters. My daughters instantly, they're like, no, this girl's the real deal.
Yeah.
Me being
well, Jim, I got to make a comment, Jim. When you keep saying workout videos, I'm like, those aren't workout videos. Those are like,
no, these are extreme. No, her extreme endeavors for
the passion and the strength.
And the passion, yes,
and the passion of it is just like a drive home. It's like, I told Heather today about, she mentioned Cash earlier. Cash is my youngest son, Jim, you know that. And my biggest thing is that the siblings, I'm like, I don't hear enough about the siblings, and he's a wise old soul. I'm like, thank you, God. He knew that I was going to need that. But he's asking questions, and those questions are, okay, Mom, then where is everyone? Okay, Mom, then okay, so my brother joined, and show me why, like, what's going on. And I'm like, oh, okay, kid. Like, and he's getting older, and he just hit those teenage years. So it's like more questions come, and it's not
more questions and answers. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, well, now I've got to get him involved and get him out. So, Heather, you brought up someone earlier, and I'm really big on names. So when you said say their name, Sergeant Carter and Mrs. White, that is Logan White. Logan White, no longer with us. I got to say his name. You brought up Terry Burgess. Terry and Beth Burgess do Gold Star Parents Retreat. That is Staff Sergeant Brian Burgess that you got to meet, Jim. We did a show. I've got to say their names because they're all popping in. We've got Thais serving right now. We've got Heather. I've got to bring up Memories of Honor. Heather, you remind me a lot of Amy. She was one of the very first, like, walk, runs, bikes, you name it, things that I've ever gone to. I've only gone to one in my life. I have never done one. Cancer tried to take me down, and I was like, nope, I'm fighting that one. So, just keep fighting. And then, so I am going to try to get to El Paso. But like I mentioned to Heather today, I was like, the first thing that Cash has ever, like, been involved was in Memories of Honor. They were cutting out arrows and writing the signs. I have pictures, and I watched him sit there, and like, he loved it. He's sitting there making signs, and like, they're going out. And that kid, I don't know how many times he went around and around and around with his brother's backpack from the Army and like stuff all in it. He just kept going and going. And I'm someone, I do want to be behind the scenes. And I know everybody's like, yeah, but she's right there on the thing. And I'm like, yeah, well, you didn't ask me what I did before my son was killed, but, and I'm not going to go back into a corporate building. This is what works for me. And I may not be as strong as I need to be right now, but my voice, I can use my voice. This is called war paint. So to me, it literally is war paint for me. Jim knows that. Like, this
Mine
keeps me
too.
from crying. I'm psyching myself out here, but I said to Heather, I was like, I can't do it because I'm just so weak. But you made me think today, and I was like, wow, Cash went loop to loop to loop. And I was just, Mom would walk up and I would see her holding a picture, and she's in our intro. Her name, Ball. I can't not say their names. Cody Ball walks up holding a picture, and they knew immediately. And they're like, Tracy, you've been saying put you to work. And I'm like, yeah, please, like, just give me a job. I don't, you don't look, but just, I'll go behind the scenes. Give me a job. They're like, someone's walking up right now, and we're not sure. We didn't know that she was coming. Her sign isn't up. Do you mind going to help? And I was like, I got this. And so I got to meet a mom who was very new, but I still have the exact same feeling. Here I am at my very first thing. No kidding. First one. And here she comes, and I could see it. Just the immediate, like, where's his picture? And I went up to someone sitting at a table, and I saw them. They had the vest. And listen, I've never been to one of these. I don't even know that much. Heather, you're teaching me right now. But I just went up and I saw this lady, and I said, ma'am, would you mind carrying this picture frame with Cody's picture at this event? And she said, of course. And so she handed her picture frame to the lady. And so every time that lady went around, she took on for Cody too. And so I will never forget that. I get goosebumps still, but it's just like being able to help. I may not 65 miles, but I can show up, or if Cash decides, I definitely would bring Cash. I mean, that's my younger son for everybody out there. It's not, we aren't getting paid. We're doing this because there's a reason. It's the people. Eventually we've got to find sponsors that keep us eating and bills. But for a sibling, that's where I'm going with this. Like, the siblings, it's just missing out there. And there's so many that come and they tell me, and they're like, Tracy, please tell me there's like a sibling scholarship somewhere. Please tell me, like, where's this at? And I said, we're going to build it. We're going to build a committee, and there's going to be people from every state. And you know what? Whatever you're doing and they're doing, and we just build this up. And you know what? We keep rolling. We bring together everyone into this. And it's not just Gold Star families. It's Patriots. It's the people that want to gather together and actually have Jim like Patriot Fest. Let's bring together. Let's honor. Let's celebrate. Let's see. Heather is doing Give to Those, the number 2, givetothose.org. Vested up in March in El Paso, Texas, 65 miles. 65 miles, right, Heather?
So that's Memorial Day weekend. And then, in March, we're coming out to El Paso. We're flying into El Paso, and we're going to White Sand Missile Range to do Baton Memorial Death March, which, again, that's where I met Terry Burgess and his wife. And then I got into talking. I was like, oh, wow. Like, he gave me a coin of his son, Brian. And I was like, I actually watched, which was really ironic because I watched the documentary, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Brian Burgess was on it. I was like, the Beehive, and I'm like, Terry, I was like, I just watched that, like, and that just happened to be like it happened to come on, like I was watching something, and then it came on, and I'm like, Hornet's Nest, yes.
Yeah, you did watch it?
Yeah, I did, and I was like, whoa,
I can't yet.
Yeah, I can't.
Like, I was just like, but the thing is, I was watching something. You know how, like, once you're done watching something on, like, the TV, and then it'll kind of play the next thing that's.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I'm just watching it kind of just because it was during the pandemic, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, that's so. And I was like, the Hornets. I was like, Terry, I just watched, and it's hard for me too because like, in my ruck bag, I have Sergeant Michael Ingram Jr.'s boot. His father sent me, and God rest his soul, he passed away a month ago. He had a hard time sending it to me. He sent it to me in 2017, and it was one of the boots that he wore over in Afghanistan. He didn't wear it, obviously the day when he passed away, but he sent it to me, and it's been in my ruck bag ever since. So, like, even in my ruck bag and even in my vest, I have a lot of sentimental things. I've seen someone gave me from Iwo Jima. I mean, you name it. Like, there's everything to me has to have a meaning, like a sentimental meaning, like something. You're taking pieces of history
and pieces of people's lives on these journeys with you. Is there anything more beautiful than that, for crying out loud?
No, it's amazing. And what you're talking about is Hornet's Nest movie. I haven't watched it either, but I'm pretty close to Terry and Beth, and constantly wanting everybody to understand that in their organization, that's Gold Star Parents. So as you got to meet them, Jim, when we did Gold Star Families Day for the dads, I'm always like, say family and say siblings, because there's more than a mom. And so that's immediately how we all kind of just connected. And so behind the scenes, I'm like, let me be the bad guy. I'll ask for donations. I'll be the one to say, hey, we got to have money. But unfortunately, that part's true. So in order to do everything that they do, or that you do, Heather, or that we're trying to do, Jim, and bringing everyone together, that part has to happen. And that's why when we have someone like Heather, who's giving her passion behind your why are you doing this? When are you doing it? And where? We want to make sure people are understanding. And like, you can go to givetothose.org, and that's the number 2. Again, givetothose.org. You can check out, Heather is very, very active. Heather, will you do me a favor and say your last name?
So it's Viveiros. Heather Viveiros.
I was like, I am country. So let her say that real quick. So I would say Viveiros. And
I put a long O in the last, in her last
name. That's the country.
Well, it's funny because, when I posted the thing, the first thing, like my friends, they talked about the S, and I'm like, don't even worry. Like we'll just elongate the O. And we say Viveiros, like, right? Like, but it's,
I'm laying that one on production. I caught that right away. I was like, oh boy. There's no
little Western twang in there, so there's a heavy O.
Hey, listen, all I know is this, I'm so sorry, and I always apologize to Gold Star, anyone. I'm like, so whenever there's anything to do with having to announce people's last name, I'm like, can you explain it? I'm on Google, how does it, Google and ask how to say their name.
Google pronounce, yeah.
Right? I'm the worst. You don't want me to be in staff sergeant, because I'm like, unless it's easy, I get tongue tied, and it's not that's just how I am. So even at our own things, I'm like, oh my goodness, Johanny Rezziati, I'm like, am I saying it right? And you get in your head, right? So
I am right there with you. Right? I know these families, and I've said them for 3 years, and I still screw them up.
Darren Hoover is one of the easiest, right? Or Hunter, Hunter, you're sitting there So I actually ran into Darren Hoover for a split second in the
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, so for a split second in New Hampshire, and I was like, so the funny story is,
Darren was just on.
I see Nicole, I see Guy's mother-in-law, and all I saw, because I didn't see Darren. I see the dog tag, and I'm like, hey, blah, 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 blah. I start talking to her, and she's like, oh my goodness. But we only got a split second. I'm like, Darren, how come every time I see you guys, it's split second? I'm like, can I just one day collectively meet everyone? And my son has about a year and a half more of high school, and I'm like, man, God, because I feel God moving in me. Yeah, you got my Reverend, and I was telling Tracy this today, that my Reverend this morning says, Heather, you got to go out there. You got to spread your, it's that why. But it's motivating people. It's get out of your mindset. Every time I put down the flag, and Jim, this goes back to what you talk about. God's like, get up. And I'm like, God, I'm upset. My friend, I've had a lot of people hurt me along this journey. Close friends, mentors, people I loved.
Yep.
As you know, and I understand.
I have lost more than I've gained, and that is an absolute fact.
And unfortunately, right, pride and ego are two of the biggest sins that usually get our friendships, right? And going back to your point about looking into me, right? Who is this girl? My son isn't here. Are they looking for money? And I'm always like, I just want to honor, right? So, but I understand that, and sometimes I have to tell people, especially in Facebook Messenger, I'm a real person, I'm real. This is what I'm trying to do, but I tell people all the time, is it easy? No, you're going to get people who get jealous. Their own pride starts rising up. You'll even give people platforms, and the next thing you know, they don't like you. And you're like, what did I do? And then you're like, okay, I know. And then you look back, right? You go, all right, I had a dramatic moment there. I cried there. I was a little upset here, right? So you start, but I go, but I've always had my heart. And no
Yeah.
matter what, I've always had my heart there. And I'm only human. And I tell people, like I tell people all the time, because people like love picking my brain, especially military guys that are trying to come to God, or they're like, I believe in a God, or like, but I'm really intrigued by your passion, and like I want to understand more. I'm like, listen, I'm a sinner, we're all liars, cheaters, sinners, this, that. I mean, cheating doesn't mean just some like going off with someone else. I mean, cheating could be anything, right? I go, but I repent, and I try to live by like kindness, like and doing things out of love.
Yes.
And do I get angry and hurt? Yeah, absolutely. Because, I protect, and I've sacrificed. And I mean, I remember one time someone said to me, well, you chose that. And I'm like, whoa, 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 God chose this for me.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about the
This
sacrifice from my
fell
own
in my
family,
lap.
right? Like, and
Yeah.
I was talking to them. I just said, I've sacrificed time for my family, my son, my mother who's getting older, my father who's getting, and not out of disrespect. I was saying that. I was trying to put it into perspective, like, God called me upon that, but with that, I also sacrifice. And like I told people, like with Give to Those, it's not a paycheck for me. I don't make a dime. I don't take a paycheck. I tell people, go look it up. Like there's no, you can look it up. There's nothing. It's zero. I work, it says 40 hours. It's more like 140 hours sometimes a week. Right. So, and I do it because like I tell people, I can't show you, Jim and Tracy, how much more I care about you and genuinely care about your children, not only just through my actions, but everything I personally sacrificed and the things I've done to get to the point of where I'm at. So yes, you will have those people. They get ego, they get pride, but you know what? God doesn't want them in your life anyways. And I say they were there for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Like there's a moment that they're supposed to be there to help you. So I don't get mad even about that, but I tell people if I quit, and it'll be 12 years in 2015, 2025, I believe. I mean, geez, I don't even keep count of it, but I've lost quite a bit of like either not friends, but
Oh,
people I've
hell
known, or
yes.
people, yeah, like like you said, you have this,
Relationships or
yeah.
friendships or acquaintances or
And trust me, sometimes you just get in this funk where you're like, you're like, wow, what did I like? Okay, maybe, and you sit there and but you know what? That's when I'm like, Lord, please give me the strength, because these people need that hope. And I just want to be that beacon of light and hope. And so, Jim, I tell you, like, you think like you do so much when you go on the news, you inform people. That's huge. Informing people, like my biggest thing is like, I tell people like, listen, don't be like, I'll be honest. Like I tell people, be careful what you post about certain things, because I know the family are very close with certain people. Like, and you want to come out and say you support the family on that day, August 26th. But so you got to be careful where you. So like when people come out and they're like, whatever they say in the political aspect of things, right? And I'm like, be careful, because those families, that grief is always there.
And I have dealt with that
Yeah.
in the most screwed up levels you can frickin' imagine.
Mm.
Okay, Riley is one of the 13. Whether it's because we're from Wyoming and my dad raised me the way I was, and I raised my daughters the way I raised them, and we're just frickin' solid. We're good. We're going to pull our boots on and we're going to go to work tomorrow. And we just do our thing. There is a negative connotation to that. One, that we are emotionally dissolved from the other families, which is the most bizarre freaking thing ever. Because are you kidding me? No, me and my girls are taking care of our shit, but I feel the pain of all other 12 families. And I have battled this, and I swear to God, we could do a whole nother segment on this.
Yeah.
The emotional. No, I feel the pain of every family. And because I was a single father of Riley and his two sisters, I am very much attuned with the female side of things, and what my girls, they're women, they're the typical woman. They are American women. They're patriotic, they're compassionate, but because I feel so much of their pain, and I still try to take all their pain. Oh man, the labels that have been thrown on me and everything else is like, are you fucking?
It's okay. We are independent. Keep
Freaking-
Lord,
going.
we repent.
Are you
This
freaking
is why
kidding
we're
me?
doing what we do.
I'm just a dad. I love
Yeah.
my son. Are you kidding me? There is nothing that hurts me worse than losing my son. Riley was my youngest, but his sisters, we grew up together. I didn't raise them. Shit, we raised each other
That's
together.
what I say.
2007. I was
Yeah.
a single dad since 2007. We raised each other. We grew up together. We evolved together. We became who we were together. Losing Riley, who was the youngest, absolutely, for a lack of a better word, destroyed our family unit. The key link, the missing link, the link that was such a beautiful part of us is now gone. So then it was me, Cheyenne, and Royce doing everything we could to remember Riley, to honor Riley, to do everything for Riley. But in that first year, we were so focused on, we have got to honor Riley. The three of us, we lost us. We didn't know who the hell we were. I swear to God, it has taken us a year and a half to get back to. I mean, we were always strong. We were always very compassionate. We were always very close. But Riley, for all his good faults and bad faults, and man, I could do a 3-hour segment on his. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Those things. But when we all realized, it's like all of us collectively, not even meaning to, we're so focused on, you got to remember Riley, you got to remember Riley, but we lost ourselves in that message. We went through every memory, every beautiful thing about him, every heartbreak about him, every wrestling match, everything that kid did in his life was our focus. And it wasn't coordinated. It wasn't planned. It wasn't, we're going to talk about this, but that's where we were focused because that was our life. That was everything about us. And then
It still is.
of course, then we're all just like, we're just a piece of who Riley was. Riley's gone. We're a piece of Riley. Riley's gone. There's nothing left. We're basically obsolete. We don't matter. If that makes any sense.
It's 1,000%, Jim. I know exactly what you're saying. And I said that, I think I told you that today, Heather, like something like, Jim, I'm a truth teller. I can't not tell the truth. And like, he's going to get me if I don't. I have to go there. And I say that, Jim, I'm coming at you saying the same thing. It's like, where do we go? Like that road, the fork in the road, right? Like, where do we go now? Like, what is, because when they're in, like, and they're deployed or they're coming home for R&R or they've got a unit and they're buddies, it's like, whoa, we're automatically just ripped right out. And it's like, wait, like, I don't know what to do. Like, how do I want to still be there. There's some people that don't, but I'm like you, Jim. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. And we've discussed this, like my son, Sergeant Two-Step and Riley, a lot in common when it comes to like that fighting mentality or that stubbornness or in the wrestling, they're alike. And then having the siblings, we've had these conversations.
They defined us through their actions, and that's what made us so beautiful and why we are all so strong. And when that disappears, and then people, this is going to sound horrible and I don't mean it to, but when people stop caring about how much that meant and how beautiful that was, well, then me, Royce, and Cheyenne, we're now obsolete. I know that's bullshit, but you can't help but feel it. And on certain levels of our government,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do this proudly, but there are certain levels of that where, yeah, you no longer matter. You're just a number. We'll talk about you one day, but other than that, we don't care about you. Like, you got to be kidding me. No, I raised that. I raised the kid. I know the kid. I know his.
Jim, I always say that Adam raised me.
Yeah.
Like, he made me. Like, I didn't make him. He
Swear to
made
God,
me.
Riley and all of his young wisdom made me a better person because one, I raised him, but he taught me so much more in his 20 years and 6 months than I ever would have. I am a better person because of my son, who died at exactly 20 years and 6 months. I'm a better person because of him, because that kid was freaking amazing. And his sister as well. No, it's I can't say what I want to say. It is so screwed up that you can't, the common person can't fathom what you go through, one, with the loss of a son, and we can get way beyond the emotional, oh, woe is me, and this hurts, and I am so sad that my son is gone. But when you get into the inner dwellings of what that life looked like, and who they were and how it was and what their life was going to be,
the dreams.
Man, you can't even touch the surface with those of us who have lost that. It's like, man, you have no idea.
However,
I got to backtrack because I swear to God, Heather did, whether she intended to, or it's just a gift that she had, or God was speaking through her. Like I said, Heather, within the first month, was one of the first people to reach out to us, and her message was always beautiful. Her influence to this day carries me on and makes me be better. She makes me be better where I don't even want to. I don't care. I don't want to do anything. But her influence is like, dude, quit it. Get the hell up. And, and I've been athletic all my life, so I think there's a commonality there. But he's like, no, stop it. Get up and do this. Or do something. Do something. You're going to feel better. And I swear to God, Heather has been a monumental influence in me moving forward in the last 3 years, where there are days I just didn't give a crap whether the sun rises or sets or whatever. So, I have, and I mean, that's a morbid, sad story, but it's real. It's
true.
When I'm telling you the truth, but I find my strength in people that have shown strength or that I've admired through what they've done. It's like, damn, hey, I'm not dead yet. Let's keep moving forward and let's make a positive, whether it's making my bed or getting out of bed or going and checking the mail or whatever the case may be on that day. Most days are way better than that, but I'm giving you some extreme examples. But no, it's always nice to, Heather, like,
Hey, thank you. Yeah.
We're working towards, so I gotta man up, and I gotta do better than I'm doing today. So,
well, and just to chime in on what you're saying, I think, and this is a thing that I always explain to people too, like whether it's civilians or even military guys, or whatnot, is everyone's there in the beginning, and as the dust settles, and the story's not out there,
man,
that's when it becomes like, wow, where's the guy that said anything you need, anything, I'll always be here, blah, 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 blah. All the words you're giving at the ceremonies, at these, these services. And I actually gave, it was probably like a speech at Tracy's Run. And I'm not one to really tape a lot of my stuff. Like I just, in my reverend keeps getting on me. You need to travel, and you need to start getting this out, and you need to tell the why, and you need to, and he inspires me because he grew up in Jim Crow era. He is like, I just love the man. His story is amazing. He's a Vietnam veteran. He was a junkie. Back in the 70s, God saved him when he was butt naked on Venice Beach. He's in a straitjacket, and he's like, Lord, help me, and I will be a faithful. He alone is just an amazing man, and has really inspired me even more. And I actually met him during COVID, but it's what I tell people is don't be. Now, listen, I know people fall asleep, and we have busy lives, but don't be that person that says, I'll always remember Jim, I'll always be whatever you need, brother. And then you're like, hey, I could just use a little text message right now. Don't be that person if you're not going to put it through to action. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just right.
I would take the naked junkie that was sincere and message me when he could versus the
notoriety that people want that are
appreciative, because I have a lot of people that I am very appreciative for. But damn it, if you're not sincere and you're not going to follow through in what you said and where you are, I'll take that naked junkie every day of the week because I know they're sincere and they are coming from the heart.
And the funny thing is,
I've got 3 friends that I know that I could name off right now. He's like, absolutely. I don't care what's going on in your life. If your life is screwed up, I'm there for you. But I know these guys are there for me. No questions asked.
That's beautiful, Jim. I mean, I understand every word of it. Heather, I know in your experience, you've been around this a lot more than actually we have. And it's funny because we're the actual parents, but yet we're looking at you and going, how does this work? Heather, how does this work? Like, where are these things?
I'm finding my strength through Heather, which is the most bizarre.
Right? And I'm like, but where do we go? And how do we get there? And where's it at? When is it, Heather? Like, when and where?
And it's funny because I was telling you this too today, Tracy, I was like, when you're like, yeah, there's not a lot in Texas. I'm like, I was kind of shocked because one thing I'll tell you about Massachusetts, we've been really blessed. We actually have we're one of the 3rd largest with the most amount of nonprofits, not just military, but nonprofits in general. I think it's Maine and Vermont that might have the most, like above us or something.
Right.
But we're within the 3, right? We're pretty blessed in Massachusetts because there's a lot of road races, a lot of events, a lot of like what you're talking about with the siblings. It's so important to get the siblings out, right? Because they're the most forgotten, right? And that I was talking to you about that today. And and I worked on a project to honor the siblings, and sometimes things in life change. So that part for now, but like I'm working on some other things, but going back to this whole sibling thing, and it's being the person that says, you know what, if it ain't gonna be there, it's kind of like with Tracy's event. We just said, all right, we're gonna do this, right? So like using cash for an example, and your daughters, they can be the ones that start it. So they can be the ones that say, you know what, we like there's an organization, Wear Blue. And I've told many military families about them because they do a lot of stuff and they honor your children and they do a run on DC and all these amazing things. And even though I have my own nonprofit, listen, if there's a great nonprofit out there, I'm not going to be like, I can't tell you this because then it takes away from me. Because I'm going, I don't do what they do. And first of all, we're all in this bowl together, so why not share? I can't feel like, I got Tracy, I can't share my network. Like I was talking about an amazing company, Circle, that's now, if you don't know Circle, it's a drink water bottle thing, and they got this cool stuff. Actually, I have one. I not trying to promote, but like I have the Circle. Like they actually gave me this one. And we're starting to talk to them.
My girls will eat that up. That's awesome.
Oh my goodness. Like you'll have to give me your address. We just got vested up for the following ones, and I only made one of each one to kind of try it out. So I'll have to send you guys one. But like this company's been amazing to us. And like I said, have you guys, I was like, have you guys tapped into like the military first responders? I said, because they're active all the time. Like they could use this. And actually my organization shipped these overseas to a couple guys that are a part of the Vesta for the Fallen team, but they're overseas. So I shipped over some metal things and they have like this little, I don't even know, drinky thing that goes in it. It's a liquid. And the guys
It's like
were like,
a
hey,
hydration drink.
yeah, it's
like
called
liquid
Circle.
IV or whatever the hell that
No,
goes
no,
in.
no, no.
It's an
like a
actual
flavor.
bottle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bottle, and then it's like a
Yeah.
flavor. This piece screws on. It's like
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you guys this because here's the thing. So I was telling them about Baton, and they have a headquarters in Texas, right? So I think they might be going on to Baton. I'm going to actually ask one of the people I talked to. But the reason why I bring them up is because they've been really cool. Like they're like, hey, I said, listen, I'm not looking, I don't look for everything for free, right? I just go, listen, I like your product if it's a good product, right? So I bought, like, not me like we decided to send them out to the guys, some of the guys that were deployed, and to kind of like just say, hey, these guys are supporting us because they're actually supporting Vesta for the Fallen. That's why I bring them up, and they're supporting the Baton Death March with us. But my point to you is that it's even with companies like this that want to do things or help out, it's, hey, you know what, putting together a 2-step ruck event honoring all your children from Texas, and you guys put that on, and then you can reminisce about that, but why couldn't your son and your daughter start that? And then you say to the company in Texas, hey, you think you can come out and like show us this, because we don't know what this is, and I can't wait to tell my person here in Mass that, like, you guys need to get this out to Texas because these Texas people need hydration. But
get them on the show.
Right, it's making the connections, Tracy, but it's also, if there's no connection, you guys be the why. You find that, you build that, you get those people, you say to Cash, you know what, Cash, you wear that vest or that rucksack and you go out and you start something, and you drop that seed and you let it grow. And I'm surprised because I know a lot of a lot of nonprofits out in Texas, like I don't know, you guys know Carry the Load and all them, but like, again, I tell people, like, just because I have my own nonprofit doesn't mean I won't share yours. But I'm like you, Jim.
Well, there's areas in Texas that are very active, but then there's areas that are not. So where Terry is, for instance, he's at far north in Texas, very, very active. So I want to make sure, because I'm going to get a lot of hate messages, but there are a lot of things going on, but not near me, and not
the outer skirts.
It's other cities, other larger areas in Texas, other cities, and it's just, we need to come together as the whole, all 50 states. So absolutely. I'm not even looking at Texas, I'm looking at everybody, and I'm going, there is a way to make a committee, and building this platform, Patriots Inside the Wire, and doing what we're doing out of our pocket and bringing Jim in. Cash, we're talking about Cash a lot. Cash is the one, ironically, who's like, hey, Mom, use this, do this, instead of, like what we would have in the station. So ironically, the station you're on right now, Patriots Inside the Wire, Cash has done a lot of the, like, here, there's some stuff these kids know nowadays that's like, okay, like, what did you just say?
Really old. We're still thinking about dial-back phones and stuff. Like,
one of the most beautiful things about that is my daughters. We're going to do a 2-step organization in Wyoming. We're going to do something for 2-step. They have not been on your program. They have not talked to you. They only know you because of me. They only know Adam because of me.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh.
and we're in Wyoming. We're in the middle of nowhere. But both of my daughters is like, no, we got, because
you'll be invited.
Whether we're wrong or we're not, Riley's Riley. Riley's my son. Riley's their brother. And Riley is always going to be Riley. But what can we do for somebody else? How can we make more awareness? Well, you take Riley out of the equation more or less, and let's focus on something else and we have to bring more awareness than just Riley. And I am absolutely comfortable with that. I know Riley. I know him inside and out and everything about that kid. And I can tell you stories where you guys go, oh God. don't share those stories. But Riley was Riley, and his sisters know the same kid, and they love the same kid, and you couldn't be more proud of a Marine in your life than your brother. But it's like, well, how do we make this better? How do we have a bigger voice? So my daughters, because of you and I, Tracy, and when we started this, 3-4 weeks ago, both of my daughters like, okay, we've got to run with this. We've got to do something. We have to have because we just did the 13-mile march with no support, no nothing. We just said we're on the 26th. We're marching 13 miles for all 13 kids. Well, Royce, being the little genius that she is, like, Dad, you're missing a golden opportunity here. I didn't care. For me, it wasn't about money or notoriety or pushing an agenda. For me, it was just we're marching 13 miles for 13 kids. My two daughters was like, Dad, come on, get with the program. Basically, it's like we can do so much more. Your voice is going to be better if we organize this, and we can do more for more than just the 13 kids and so on and so forth. And you guys both just said something. It's like, damn, okay, you guys have events or you guys have something. Well, let's promote this. Let's promote this one. And then let's go to Texas. Let's go to Boston. Let's keep this thing moving. One, you're going to remember the kids, but we're promoting something bigger than our kids that is regional and ultimately national, and let's keep pursuing that.
That's what I like.
I think too small. I think inside the bubble, and I'm
completely opposite. Everybody's like Tracy, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to go small. It's like go big or go home.
And
so maybe we'll help each other, Jim.
Close to the vest and right here. One, because I'm afraid that it's going to fail. If I reach out too far and I really want to promote all these kids and it doesn't do what I want it to do, then I failed all these kids. So I am so apprehensive. It's like I am not
Jim, you know what I say to you? The worst thing has already happened to us in the world. The absolute worst thing that could possibly ever happen has already happened. So I say, get up, go big, and let's do it. So I get to hear a lot about Royce. So we talked about Cash as a sibling who's, like you mentioned, Heather, you still got one that's still in school. And so he's still, he just started high school. So, which is strange, but yes, I'm doing that again. But this is the thing. So, and talking with Jim and having Jim come in at the perfect time for Patriots Inside the Wire, keeping it going. There's a lot of inside and outside work, and people like production was in earlier, and they're like, Tracy wants to do 2 more shows. I heard them talking with Jim, and I'm laughing, but yet I'm serious. I'm like, man. Yeah, we need to do this. I mean, I know there's no money coming in. I know there's nothing yet, but we are supporting so many other people and their organizations and their nonprofits. We're not going to be a nonprofit, but we will keep this rolling. Jim's on board. We've got
money's important, but these conversations mean more.
They mean more.
I swear to God, these conversations mean more, not just to me and us,
but to everyone.
The people that I know that follow this, these conversations are priceless. You can't get better. So I'm going to work on that. Like, hey, pony up. You want to keep watching, then let us know. But no,
we're glad to have you, Jim.
Unbelievable. This is, and I was talking to you guys before we actually came on air. It's like, I am so excited for this. And Heather's going to have to solve this dilemma for me too, because Royce swears to God it was her that Heather reached out to first. I said, no, she reached out to me. And Cheyenne's like, you guys are both wrong. She reached out to me first. So we got a whole family.
Heather.
Thanksgiving's going to suck because Heather's answer is going to let us know how well Thanksgiving.
Oh gosh,
Ma'am,
no,
I am kidding. I am kidding. I am not putting you on that spot. All you have to do is say, yeah, it was Jim. And then that's it.
oh, oh, geez, you know,
No,
I guess one day I'll have, maybe, God willing, one day I guess I'll have to knock on the door on Thanksgiving and say, can we settle this now? Like,
I honestly,
hey, listen, you take such great pictures of Wyoming. I'm like, wow, I really want to go there. Like, I was like, this is beautiful. Like, because over here, like, I don't know if you've ever been to Boston, but like, we deserve the names we get because like we're
once.
just intense. Like, you give us our coffee too slow, we're not happy. Like, we're like, what do you mean Duncan just took 3 minutes to get our coffee? That's why we have the app. What do you mean? Like, it's just always go, go, go here. That's why myself and so many other people are always moving. But, and Jim, I want to touch on what you said about failure. And I learned this, through my life. I was nervous when I started Give to Those. Is it a multi-million-dollar nonprofit? And it's what God allows it to be, right? So it's what God has blessed me, because the one thing is, when you grow sometimes, right, then you have to have like all this paid staff and all that, which is fine. I don't knock that at all, because people got to get paid. They got to do the job. But sometimes within that, not always, so please, people don't understand where I'm going with this. Sometimes people forget the purpose and the why of why they started that organization in the beginning, right? When they get so big, they forget that, and then it becomes corporate, right? So I've been blessed. I love what I do. But if I never took even that step, because I told you, I said, no, God, I want to be helping my friend over here and this friend over there and that friend over there with their nonprofit. I'll wear their hat. And God was like, no, you're going, and again, so it's not failure, right? If you don't try, we all know that word. Like, if you don't try, it's an opportunity, again, to plant the seed. So it's just what works, right? So, Give to Those has been around. We were originally Stride and Ride Inc., and then I changed the name in 2019 to Give to Those. There's things that worked, and there's things that were like, oh, why did I waste my time on that? It was horrible. Or then you got a road race, and you're trying to compete. With all due respect, I'm not trying to play like, I plug big names because people know who they are. Like, I'm not Wounded Warrior Project, right? Like, I'm not getting 2,000, 3,000 people to my 5Ks. But you know what? The people who are coming, they're coming for a why and a purpose. They're coming for a reason. They read that story of Tracy, or they read that story of your children, the 13 fallen. And those are the people you want there. And I'm not, with all due respects to any of those big ones, and they go for that. And I've been a part of those big ones, right? Boston Marathon, Baton Memorial Death March. And I never knocked Tough Rock. I never knocked them. But what I tell people is, don't look at the amount of people that show up. Look at the character of those people that did.
Yes.
So you can't fail yourself if you try, because trust me, I've done things with the nonprofit that, again, I'm like, oh, that didn't work. That was horrible. Or like, and that's what I mean. Like, you try it, and then you're like, then you have to two-step, right? You got to two-step and go, okay, that didn't work. That's what Vest Up for the Fallen is, right? Like, I was doing the archery program. I was doing all these other things. And then God's like, all right, well, we're going to, you did a great thing here. You did a great thing here. But now Vest Up for the Fallen, that's sticking. I have a Marine that's on. I have a Marine and Army. I have 2 Marines and an Army that are operations directors, right? And so those guys are helping to spearhead this, and they're doing an amazing job. And my point to you is, I could have been like, no, God, I'm tired. I'm burnt out. And I'm not going to lie. I was at that point, and not because of the people I honor, the families. Again, it's the people that come around you that can burn you out. Like,
absolutely.
Or they make you question yourself. Like, not like you're just like, wow, I'm drained. And like, so that's why I tell people, like, even with what you're saying about the failure, don't look at it like that. You have to try. And even in business, and your man who's on your hat, look at right? you have to try, and sometimes businesses fail because it's not meant to be. And it's not
Absolutely.
that you're dishonoring the children, right? Your children. It's that you have to try, and then you're like, maybe that marathon wasn't what we should do in honor, or maybe that 13 miler. Maybe we should do a 13 miler and then a 1.3 and then a 3.1, like twist it. And
But we
you know what I'm saying?
grow from
Right?
each
Yeah.
endeavor, and
So I
each
tell you to take that.
challenge.
Take that
Absolutely.
flag and run with it, Jim, because you know what? I watch how you speak. I've seen you on the news. I actually get excited when I see you guys, or I see Darren, and I see Mark, and I'm like, yeah. I always go like this. I swear my family thinks I'm nuts. I'm like, I know that. I was like, I know. I was like, I love them. I know them. And like, and the funny thing is, like,
So we're doing okay. We're
yes, you're
doing all
doing
right.
great. And that's the thing is, so the legacy is by continuing to say it, right? So like by having those things and doing those things and letting God guide it and saying, oh, okay, like I don't know, but like again, because you look at what Mark's doing with the building the houses, right?
Oh,
And like, right?
absolutely.
So just think of
Just
that, like,
close on that property. He's like, you got to
right,
be kidding me. How beautiful is that?
right. So it's amazing, and that's why I'm like, no, it's not going to be a failure because because God's going to give you the tools and your voice alone. You know, I mean, you have more access than you probably, I mean, I'm sure you realize it, but then more than you realize it, but you got to ask. Number one thing one of my friends said to me in this journey of everything.
Oh no.
It's okay. I think her
No.
she's in her car, so there
I
she
was
is.
loving everything she was saying. Oh, here she is. She's back.
There she is.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, hell yes.
So one thing that always stood out to me that a friend of mine said, and I never forgot this, was, you're already at no before you try. Why not ask? So I always tell, and that's what I tell my team now, like when you go into that place and you want to get a t-shirt sponsor, or even you, Tracy, like you're already at no before you walk in the door. Just ask. Like with you and the people you know, the worst someone's going to say to you is no. And you know why people don't want to hear that? Because our pride and our ego within us. And again, that's just what God instilled in us, right? Like,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
we all have these emotions. What I mean by that is not the pride in that, but the emotions God instilled in us. So I've learned that from a good friend of mine along this journey. So now I'm like, well, if I'm already at no, so if I don't ask that gun shop if there'll be a sponsor, I'm just at no anyways. So it's just because our pride and the ego within ourselves is like, well, why would you say no to my son? Like, especially for a Gold Star family, like, why would you say no to my child, right? Like, you're not but sometimes it might be like they're tapped out for the year or whatever. But like in Texas, like you guys could probably do like sponsors even for this, right? Like the gun shops and everything else, and like Wyoming, same thing. You know, and so again, it's I don't ever look at things as a failure because there's always lessons learned even in failure. There's always lessons learned in things that we wanted a better outcome for, but like we're like, wow, that was a really bad bummer. Like that just
The risk or the
like, you're just like, that did not go the way I wanted it to. And like, but you know, I always tell people like even in my nonprofit, like I'm pretty easygoing. Like these guys will be like, Heather, do you think we can do this? I'm like, just please just give me a cost and let me know. And like, yeah, let's just not be silly. You just don't go spending money, right? Like you got to be a smart business person. But there's not an ego thing for me. So I don't even like telling people like I'm a president, I'm the founder. I kind of like, yeah, so I run this nonprofit. It's called Give to Those, and we do this event. But like, I'd rather give that to other people to feel proud to be a part of something, you know? And so that's why I think like you should do whatever you guys decide to do, and you just decide to do in Wyoming with your girls, because again, you know, you talk about those memories, and those shared memories are going to be things you'll be able to share at events that you host, right? Like,
yes.
So
well, I keep putting that above Jim's head right there. It's Patriot Fest because Riley and Two Step really big into UFC. So it's like we want to see a UFC octagon like card match, and then have like vendors set up and food trucks and bands playing later on after the celebrity like UFC fights. So match cards.
I mean, come on, someone knows someone that knows Dana White. So anyone out there listening,
that's
Dana
what
White
we
know
want.
they want the Gold Star families want something, like, you know.
Jim and I have been talking.
I gotta pimp a couple of Wyoming kids out. Dana White, Bryce Meredith, NCAA wrestling, you look at his storied career. The kid was fantastic. Ended up wrestling for University of Wyoming his last 2 years. He is now a MMA fighter.
Right.
Dana, sign this kid. Let's do something in Wyoming, Texas, Boston, for crying out loud.
Everywhere.
But you signed Bryce Meredith, and you have got the entirety of Wyoming behind you. Now,
it's not just me. That's why
Google search Bryce Meredith.
Not just Tracy.
This kid is, I mean, he could be a GQ model. This kid is freaking handsome. And I have known him for 20 years, just following wrestling.
Which one are we talking about right now?
His name is Bryce Meredith.
Bryce Meredith, okay.
Bryce Meredith. And he's from Wyoming, born and raised in Wyoming, wrestled in Wyoming. And that's how I got to know him when Riley was like 6 or 7 years old, and Bryce is 12, 13 years old. And, you know, that's who Riley aspired to be. Well, now this kid, I think he's undefeated in mixed martial arts. He's just he's just not on Dana White's UFC contract. So Dana, come on, throw a Wyoming kid a bone and let's get this done. And then let's do it on, your
program. And Jim, Joe Rogan is here in Austin, Texas, doing his show. So I'm like, I watched. And the interview that he was doing, he had no clue like what was even here in I'll say my area as far as like the music and the scene. And I was like, here, and you don't know who's actually around. So see, we already have that same common bond between really good into that. And I am
real quick.
I'm like this. I'm like, ooh.
Joe's doing an interview with Trump on Friday, if I remember right. Okay. Joe Rogan also is a big time bow hunter, great into, you eat what you kill and get the hell away from, he's like Elon Musk. It's like, don't eat this other crap, eat, natural born. So Joe Rogan is a hell of a bow hunter and really big into the natural, the homeopathic side of why we are.
Well, like Rimini. We just had Rimini.
Yes, exactly.
Nicole Rimini. Everybody look up Nicole B. Rimini, the Rimini sisters. We just had them on. So
Joe's big into that. So, I'm pimping myself out here. It's like, guys, come on, get me on the program.
Go for it. You get the event going. I'll come in after you and go big. You go in, and then I'll come in. The
Nicole thing, though, and I told you, my daughter is going to love this. So my daughter has watched the Nicole episode twice now. It's like, oh, my God, I love her. And like I told you, this is exactly, or I think I was telling Nicole, my daughter says exactly what you're saying every day. She's telling me how I can be more healthy because of this, this, and this. So Royce has watched that episode
in
twice.
Our product, our environment.
Woman, how do I get in touch with her? It's like I'm going to get a hold of Tracy, and I'll have her get you in touch with her.
Been messaging me, and she has an email.
Royce is like, I love this woman. She loved it. She loved that episode. She's like, this is absolutely fantastic. So that was pretty cool.
She got in touch with us today. So Heather, they're talking about Nicole B. Rimini. You can look her up on Instagram. Nicole B. Rimini, Remini. Find her on Instagram, or we have her email in here. It's an American-born company that's been around for a really long time, and it's about our
9 years, I think.
And it's about products and things that you use, that the chemicals, the toxic stuff, the cancer.
I'm really big about that stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Really so she gave us a lot here. But anyone can go look at the shows. Yeah.
Yes, send me that because I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian. I started on my 30th birthday right before Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah, my 30th. November 18th is my birthday, so like I started.
There
I'm
it
like,
is.
all right, I'm just gonna go.
And it's frozen, but I understand what you're saying there, Heather. What she said, I tried to do the vegetarian thing, and I'm sorry, I'm a meat person. But I gotta have my red meat.
Royce is very similar. She grew up. I mean, we kill an elk every year, and that's what we eat. I mean, that is about as red as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And she just, when you're this big and then you grew up into a teenager, it's like, man, I'm really sick of this. And when your dad's cooking for you, it's like, Dad, no, this isn't working. So she kind of shifted gears. She never really became a vegetarian, but she definitely does not like red meat and doesn't the texture, and there's other things. But now that health considerations at 25 years old and that sort of thing come into play, and then she's learning, holy crap, the chemicals and everything else that are in play in how your life works out and how that affects your health, whether it's shampoo or facial creams or whatever. Whoever she was talking to and whatever she did, man, she went off the deep end. But now she slowly might looking back to red meat's not so bad. So
yeah. So Heather, we were talking about, you mentioned vegetarian. I tried that for a year and I can't. My body, like between iron and everything, like I love my red meat. I've got to have my meat. It's just,
and that's what she needs the most.
Does better.
Well, so it's so funny because people because I told you I've got kegs for legs. People are like, how do you still? I'm like, protein. I mean, I'm not even a big eater though. Like, it's funny because people are like, I drink a ton of coffee, which is, I don't know if it's really. I mean, I drink a lot of water and stuff too. I'm such a coffee. I use the terminology whore. Like, I'm such a coffee whore. I love it so much. Excuse my language, but
independent.
I don't really eat too much. Like today, I think I ate a couple spoonfuls of rice before I went to the gym, and then I usually have a protein shake with that. But actually, going back to that Nicole thing, please send me that link because I like stuff like that. I love research. I'm big with that. But people always ask me, like, what made you go a vegetarian? I'm like, I started right before Thanksgiving. My birthday is November 18th, so I started on my birthday when I turned 30. And I said, it was actually my other half that was like, he took me to Capitol Grill and he's like, try this Delmonico. And I'm like, bro, like, I only eat chicken and turkey at that point. And he's like, just try this. And I was like, fine. And I did. I was like, ooh, that's pretty good. But anyways, like, but before him, I was only eating like salad, chicken, tuna, turkey. But the reason why I got big into, like, I was very leery and I started doing a lot of research, like you were saying, like with Nicole with the products. I'm the same way with hair products, makeup, all that stuff. I'm very cautious of like parabens and everything. And I'm really intrigued by it all. But I really stopped trusting the government, like with that kind of stuff. When Jose Canseco came out and talked about steroids use,
hell yes,
right? And then there was something that came out about steroids being put into meats and stuff, and it was like, oh yeah, nothing to see here, nothing.
Our chicken and our beef, yes.
Yeah, and I remember there was like an article or something because that was like a huge thing. Remember in baseball, like when he came out and he exposed it all. And when I was big into like bodybuilding, but I was never into like the steroid, all that stuff, and because I was like, yeah, that's not me, like. So I remember that moment, and that's when I was like, huh. It could, because I remember it was like an article, like I like, or a question or something about like, well, if it's put into meat, and then it was like something like, oh well, it cooks off when you cook, like they were like trying to tell you when you put the beef in or whatever, it cooks the steroids. I'm like, so Jose, when he came out and talked about it, and then they said it can last about 7 years in your body. But then when you cook it, so that's when I first started kind of, my wheels started turning back then. And then, all the stuff with the Tuskegees in Alabama, just everything that I started questioning people, and people will be like, Heather, you're a little, I'm like, no, you know what I am? I research. I love researching. I love reading. Even stuff with makeup, like who would have known, like you're wearing some top brand or perfume, and next thing you know, you're like putting this chemical, like deodorant. I switched to deodorant that's no aluminum and all that because of breast cancer with women and men. Yes. But you know what? Yeah, Jim, like, what intrigued me about that, and I really want that link, right, about this woman Nicole, is because what intrigues me about that is I always tell people, you want to know how much we get tricked here? Look at what the UK allows and doesn't allow. Look what Japan allows and doesn't allow. Look at what other country allow, like Doritos. Like the stuff they put in Doritos here, Mountain Dew, they don't allow that stuff over there. And I always tell people I watch what they allow and don't allow, and I go, I don't really want to eat that.
Nicole actually touched on that. It was like what, 11%?
There's only 13 ingredients banned here in the U.S. and in other countries and European, they look at like 3,000 plus ingredients. So the company is an American company. I've got it up. It's Nicole Remini. She's on Instagram, Nicole B. Remini. Her email is right here, right now. It's NREMINIWISKOW, NREMINIWISKOW@gmail.com. That's Nicole Remini. She is one of the Remini sisters, Leah and Nicole Remini. It's an American company. Now, when you mention deodorant and you mention makeup, Heather, even the stuff that you're buying right now in the stores that you think is healthy, unfortunately, it's not. So I've been educated quite a bit by her, but I was already on that because of cancer. Yeah. So the last time I got to see my kid was because of my cancer surgery. And then after that, I couldn't talk. They cut my vocal cords. So now it's like I can't sing, which I used to do that, but one day I will. And then I couldn't talk at all. And it's Christmas rolling around. I'm like, son, you need to come home. He's like, no, Mom, we've already spent money. I just was home 4 weeks ago. And everything's in writing because I couldn't talk. And I said, something's wrong.
You gotta come home.
Have to come home. And he said, Mom, I'll be okay. I survived almost 2 years in Iraq. Afghanistan's going to be a piece of cake. I'm fine. And I said, no, son, you got to listen. You got to come home. And Jim, the story is that he came home. He got home. We did Christmas. 3 weeks later, he was killed. So, and I don't put his story out there, so I'm not going to do that right here. But again, his obituary is not exactly what happened to him. And it's a lot of things that we need to do on our own U.S. soil and take care of our people. And so that's why today I mentioned, the active duty is actually, the high number is 5. There are 5 active duty members killed on U.S. soil daily, every day. And so that's a number that I'm like, we got to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want that number's in there. And so Heather's aware of that too. But we have been going 2.5 hours.
Oh my hell.
No, and you know what's crazy? It's almost midnight here in Massachusetts. So I'm going to get down, and you guys are my witness because I can't do this like taping. I got to get down and do my 28 push-ups. So today's like day 2,924 days or something. Do you guys mind if I get down and just do those? No,
but do one thing real quick. So 2 things. Don't close out your, you can be doing whatever, but before the show ends, don't close out because it will cut you out of the show. Number 2, you have to pick the name of a song because while you're doing that, we're going to show your pictures and show the things about your march, the give to those. So I have 2 artists here. I have Brooks Herring, who's like very dedicated to us. And then I have Malachi, both good friends of mine, both great veterans, great musicians. Add them to your playlist, everybody out there in the digital era. Patriots Inside The Wire show is also a podcast and a video platform. You have to add it to a playlist, just like our veterans and their music. If you don't add that to a playlist, start one. Veterans playlist, military show. Here you go. Add it to your playlist. So you have.
I'm going to be selfish because I shared something earlier today because I knew Heather was going to be on. And what the hell? Give me a couple more Brooks Herring songs because I did.
We've got Brooks Herring and Malachi.
Go for it.
Which one, Heather? It's Brooks Herring. It's either coming. We already did Coming Home. It's
it was One Hell of a Woman. It was.
You got. I know them all. Here, I'll tell you right now, real quick. So it is The Good Parts.
Jim, you pick. I'm going to get down. I'm going to do 22 push-ups.
And we've got Malachi. We've got a lot of new ones.
Hey,
well, the Brooks Herring's one that I tagged Heather in today was
for those that,
basically you can't get a little bit of me without all of me. I can't remember the title.
The Good Parts.
The Good Parts, yeah, exactly.
Probably Good Parts. All right. Yeah. So for Heather right now, she's give to those. That's the number 2, GIVE 2 THOSE.org. Give the number 2. Give
Actually,
to
I Heather in
those.
3 or 4 of those today. So
.org. Give to those.org. Here we go. We're going to roll around and show some photos here for Heather Viveiros, who's been with us tonight on Patriots Inside the Wire. Here she is doing her actual push-ups. Whatever you're doing, girl, you got it. And I will have the music rolling. So here we go. Brooks Herring music, and it's going to be the good parts. Here we go. Let's roll.
We're going to do these 20.
love you, man.
When you want to, Jim?
Absolutely.
You can't say you know me
I've been sharing the hell out of it.
unless you know drunk and drive. You can't say you love me and not love Mr. High. You can't praise me for the camera and shame me at the bar. No, you can't have me and only take the good parts. I know it's not easy, but it sure ain't that hard. It's the time in between, babe, that tears me apart. When the stage like pollution seems to black out the stars, it's the neon glass sparkle that makes up the good part. I've been in darkness, and I've been in
Get into. So I really thank you guys.
Heather's the only one in the show right now because it was all muted. That was Brooks Herring. No, we had Brooks. Yeah, Brooks was playing, so that's Brooks Herring music. I want to make sure everybody understands that one. It's called For the Good Parts. But we wanted to hear what you were saying, so we stopped it and wanted to hear what you were saying because we could tell you were talking after doing push-ups, everybody. So we really wanted to see that too. And and Jim's getting his internet, but we've really appreciated you being here on Patriots Inside the Wire. I know we've kept you longer. Everybody's gonna be like, yeah, Tracy does the longest podcast ever. And I'm like, I can't stop when it's like Jim and I'm watching like the engagement of the conversation, and I know how much that means, even for me. But yes, everyone out there likes to joke. And I'm like, hey, knock it off. There's a lot of good information. Stick with it. And Heather Viveiros tonight on Patriots Inside the Wire. You can find her at Give to Those. That's the number 2. We're two-step. Sergeant two-step. Shout out for the siblings. Shout out again to Staff Sergeant Brian Burgess. I can't do this because there's so many names. Listen, every one of you out there that I know, that Jim knows, that we are trying our best just on the show here as people. We want to remember all the names. We want to pull together this event. We want to be there, Heather, in El Paso. When you show up in Texas, I'll get with Jim and we'll figure out getting to that event. I may not be able to do the actual miles, but I can be standing there and I can bring my kiddo.
Like I said, Terry's very involved. Usually, I think they probably go every year. I've never really asked them, but all I was saying is like, thank you so much for having me on. Anytime you guys would like for us to go into other conversations. I know we could keep on talking about so many different moving out parts, and I just kind of brushed on a few things with Give to Those and like the life story, because realistically, even in the sadness and looking back at Marine Corporal Nicholas Zaros, the first guy I carried, and all the ones I've carried up to this point, including 13 Fallen and two-step, and without, and I say this with the most respect, without those sacrifices, there wouldn't be a Give to Those. They wouldn't, and that would be, I'd be grateful, right? Because you'd have your children. As a mother who has a son, loves my son, you'd have your children. But I tell people that sacrifice is for the freedoms we embrace here in America, and to uphold that, the Republic, right? So I'm forever grateful. I'm thankful to the two of you. My deepest heartfelt condolences to yourselves and everyone else and everyone affected, that ripple effect, the siblings, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, the friends, everything beyond that. I'm grateful, and I only hope that this show, I know, because God has such a time as this show inspires those that are listening, even if it's not the whole 2 hours and 30 minutes, 40 minutes. They pick something up, okay? They pick something up, but number one thing, they know their why. They find their why.
Yes.
And find that purpose in life, because we all have it. God created us to have a why and a purpose. But you got to be willing to take that step. And so everyone listening, all the Gold Star families out there, I, through my actions, not just me, I take an army of Army, Navy, Marines, civilians, Coast Guard, Air Force, Space Force, everything in between. It takes
if you look above you, right there.
Yeah, right? Like, it takes
we got them all covered.
So it takes us all. And without the God putting me on this, without listening, but it's more importantly, it's all those children that have given their lives, the husbands, the wives, everything in between. And it's my team, my friends that have supported me, the trials they've seen me, the people that have stuck by me through all these years, the tears, the dramatics in my own mind. Did I do something wrong? And trust me, like, I have smiles, but I also have tears. I also have, like, oh my goodness, what did I do? So to your audience, it's just finding that why and that purpose, and like not being afraid, and and dropping that mustard seed and watching it grow, and being like, you don't have to tell people, because people will tell you a story. You don't have to say, oh, I started that. It's fun to say that, right? Like, oh, wow, look at that baby grow. But you know what? When you give other people opportunity and you give them their why, it's far greater, and I'm just grateful to be on this show, and I look forward to, returning anytime you guys would like me to. I look forward to the day I get to hug all of you guys. I'll probably cry there. In that moment, because for me, wearing their names and people seeing, I get a lot of people in the stores that will say things to me, and I get very serious. Like, they'll say, like, I had one kid one time, oh, you're stuck in what's all the 80s about? And I stopped him in his tracks. And I said, these all got, I share the story, but the truth of the matter is, it's a story on your wrist, right? It's a story that you can share forward. And so, it's funny about the Wonder Woman thing. And I was telling you about that, Tracy, the whole Wonder Woman thing. I actually liked Wonder Woman growing up. She's Greek and I'm Greek. But I was given that name by people in this military world, in the Gold Star family world. And I was telling you this too, Tracy, that a Marine, Brad Olson, he had sent me a Wonder Woman bracelet to remember his fiance that died of cancer. And, you know, and then you tell me your story about cancer. And so it was like, wow, this guy doesn't even, you know, he's sending me a Wonder Woman bracelet. And like, and then my reverend, when I met him during the pandemic, he gave me the nickname Wonder Woman, not even knowing I was already called it. So, but the whole thing about the Wonder Woman thing is just being that woman and finding that passion and that purpose. And the wonder part, you can chop that up to it however you want, you know. But I'm just really truly honored. But more importantly, I'm honored to be able to share your children's story, to get other people to carry their names, to get other people to speak their names, like people like Tai, who are younger than I am, and to remind this country that I don't care whatever your thing is over here. You need to respect people who are willing to put their lives on the line. Because if you're not, you can boot up and you can go over there and see what it's like, and then you'll respect what we have in this country. Exactly. You know, and that's a huge thing, because you talk, and I tell people this all the time. You want to know what it's like to live in another country? Talk to people who've come here to America the right way, because they have such respect for America, and they'll tell you what it's like to live in Haiti, what it's like to live in South Africa, what it's like to live in Afghanistan, even some of the Afghanis that come here to get away from being killed or murdered because they don't believe in certain things. So I tell people, don't educate yourself on other people who've never been there. Talk to them. Talk to our military members, like, about what it's like. And I'm not I'm literally saying, like, you know, I know Afghanistan, you know, you're on a base. Ask them, talk to them, share the stories about the interpreters, and educate yourself. And that's all, you know, I tell people that, you know, guys, like, people need to educate themselves through people who come here and appreciate this country. Because right now, until, again, like, God's going to have me on another mission, do whatever it may be, I'm going to always speak their names. I'm going to share their stories. I'm going to tell them, like, two-step, that's not like just a cute nickname he got in the military. It's because his mother taught him the two-step. You see, and when I know those stories, I can share them. And again, like, there he is.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah, and they would say it's the snake in Vietnam. Don't forget, like the all the military people are like, no, it's the snake, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's not the Vietnam snake. But you know, he did have the tattoo.
You know, and that's just such an awesome thing. It's those little stories, you know. But those memories you guys have, Jim, with you and your daughters, you know, those stories you guys have are things you're going to cherish forever, that no one ever can take away. And you know, you know, it's also like, for you guys, right? So now you guys are creating all these other memories together, and
that's my favorite one of Rylee.
Rylee, yes, I love that one. The ice cream.
The ice cream.
The ice cream, I think, is like the one that gets me, because it's like, I like sit there and I'm like, bro, like, how do you get the ice cream not to melt in your hand? Like, although he does it at nighttime. That's a good one too with you, Jim.
There was a lot of beef jerky involved in the exchange for the ice cream.
Baby. Yeah, like
I love that.
Like that ice cream, like seriously, that's why they eat it at nighttime, because it's so hot out. That's the only time when he's like, okay, I can keep this. It's not gonna melt right down his whole arm. So like, that's great. I love the cat ones too. You know, I love the cat, because so many.
Found this cat. I know it's so weird. Well, Jim and I mean, between doing the show and also, I know it's like we've blended families. So it's like, I'll get Cash, who's 15, to meet, you know, Royce and your daughters, and like then he'll have like the siblings we'll be so quiet, and then we can make the family bigger and just all be people that come together. So that was the whole idea behind Patriots Inside the Wire, was even if it's just one person at a time, we're going to grow, we're going to build, we're going to put out your events, Heather, we're going to put out other people's, but then we'll build our own. And you never know. You never know what's happening, especially with our head security down there. He's behind the scenes at all times because of keyboard warriors.
Yes, we like him. Hi. We won't say your name, but
Yeah.
we say your name to each other, but we know who
Love you,
are.
my friend. Always love you.
Behind the scenes.
But
And
yeah, no, I thank you guys. This was great. This was awesome.
oh, it is. But make sure everyone go to givetothose.org. Again, givetothose.org. He's saying, hang on. So don't hang up yet, Heather. Here's what we'll do. So thank you for watching Patriots Inside the Wire. I'm going to roll a clip right now. Do not leave, Heather. We will be right back for everyone out there at Patriots Inside the Wire. Jim, another good night. You'll see us again every Monday and Wednesday. Very, very important. The Jim and Tracy updates on Monday. Don't miss it. We have something coming to you. On Wednesday, we have someone coming to you that you can't miss. Like, we get 15 minutes and that's it. So big thing. So we're starting the Jim and Tracy updates on a Monday. I don't know if you've ever seen SNL, anyone. It's not going to be like that way, but it is going to be, look, it's for all people and it's all about being kind. So I want you all out there, be kind to each other. Remember, you never know where someone's at in their life. Yeah. One word, one thing that you do could either push it over a tipping point or you might be lifting someone up. So I encourage everyone, be kind, be forgiving. Think of what it might do to someone. I'm not here for myself. I am here for others. I will figure it out too as I go. I do not know everything. I don't have all the answers. We are going to do this together. So thank you for joining Patriots Inside the Wire. We're going to roll this clip out. Don't go anywhere. And thank you for joining us. We want to make sure that check out the podcast. You know, you can listen to that maybe while you're working out or whatever you are doing instead of just watching it live, or go back to YouTube, watch it in clips. But for here on Patriots Inside the Wire, Jim and Tracy updates. Check it out on Monday. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you for watching another episode of Patriots Inside the Wire, hosted by Gold Star Mom Tracy Two-Step. Help us broaden our reach. Like, subscribe, and share.
So I'm my brother Two-Step.
Thank you for joining us tonight on